How y'all doing? This is Kenny from the Walking Dead game. Well, actually, it's Gavin Hammond. I played him in the game, but it's not important. The important thing is you're listening to The Gaming Outsider.
Hey there, Go community. This week it is Zack, CB, and myself, and we're going to be answering questions from all of you. As usual, most of them are video game related. In news, it's another sad week of layoffs and the closure of an iconic magazine. New games discussed include Volgarr the Viking 2, Clickholding, Arranger, and Aero the Acrobat. Also, Alyssa stops by to talk about Shift 87 and Vampire Therapist. This is The Gaming Outsider. Greetings, programs, and welcome to The Gaming Outsider, a video game podcast with a focus on our incredible community, which can be found at thegamingoutsider.com or our Facebook group, facebook.com/groups/thegocast, and even a Discord server. There is a link for it in the show notes of this very episode. It is Tuesday, August 6th. I'm your host, Scott Clark, and joining me is my good friend, Mr. Zack Parkerson. How you doing, man?
It's me. I'm here as always. I don't want to... We learned a necromancy, you and I. I don't want to give anything away, but we resurrected the dead. CB is here.
Oh my goodness, Chris Berensmeyer has joined the show.
Thank God the spell worked.
I was just going to say the third wheel has finally arrived.
What's it been, like 2 months, man?
Yeah, life's been busy, man.
It's been kind of crazy, dude, but good to have you.
Yeah.
It's been a minute. So yeah.
I was telling CB before he jumped on, he looks exactly the same. So I think that's good, right?
Most of the time.
Yeah, not nearly as sunburnt as I do.
No.
Apparently.
You do look a little red.
Yeah, I've been working outside quite a bit this summer. The deck is nowhere near done, but
showing me that huge deck, right?
Yes.
No.
Would you like to see my deck?
Yeah, he's got a lot of good wood out there.
Well, I mean,
Yes.
he made sure to trim the bushes around it. So
Smart.
Oh my God!
Starting off.
Let me take this opportunity to remind everybody about R2V2, October 12th and 13th coming up. Things are moving, guys. I have booked 3 bands to come perform live for our after party, and if you have a ticket for R2V2, you get to come and stick around for the after party. We've got the one and only Grant Henry, known as Stemage, coming to do his thing at R2V2. Also, we got a band by the name of Game Genie. They're coming to do video game covers. And then lastly, we got a duet of Jer Roke and Natalie Klein, who do Jer plays piano, and Natalie is a singer. There's a video of them doing the Portal song, like, this was a triumph.
still alive.
We do what we must because we can. All that stuff.
It's pretty awesome. I'm hoping that that makes an appearance when they come play. But on top of that, we have booked over 20 arcade cabinets and pinball machines for this event. The VR virtual reality laser tag game, we got a whole room just for that. It's going to be amazing. All the vendors that are selling games. There's so much stuff going on. CB's Video Game Museum. We're going to have video game tournaments. Street Fighter 6, Tekken 8, Guilty Gear. Not Guilty Gear. Is it Guilty Gear? Guilty Gear Strive? What's the fighting game with the musicians? Guilty Gear.
Yeah.
Guilty Gear Strive.
Oh.
And Smash Brothers. So there are going to be tournaments for all 4 of those games. If you are very good at those games, you may want to sign up and win some cash prizes. It's going to be awesome. Can't wait to see everybody there. And you can actually purchase tickets now. If you go to our website, thegamingoutsider.com, find the link that says R2V2 or purchase tickets to R2V2. You can actually buy them in advance. They're cheaper if you buy them before the day of the show. We can't wait to see everybody there. It has been a lot of work, and I am so excited about it. I can't wait for it to happen. But I want to get into the games we've been catching up on. CB, it's been forever, so why don't you tell us what games you've been playing recently?
Well, just over the past couple weeks, it started at our Extra Life event, but I've been playing some lawn mowing simulator.
Oh no!
He played lawn mowing simulator for like 12 hours.
He got the bug.
Yeah.
Well, it was because it was there.
You had to mow the grass for charity. I understand.
Yep. I mean, like I said, had to cut down the bushes, make my deck look bigger.
Learn from the best.
I love that game, but man, 12 hours is a long time.
It's just funny because every time it's like, you're still playing that, and I'm like, yeah.
But I feel like Scott would mow real lawns for 12 hours.
Yeah, he would. I mean, I've watched
Probably.
him mow his lawn and his neighbor's lawn, and
The other neighbor's lawn.
yeah,
Yeah. I mow a lot.
yeah, it's obnoxious, but it works.
What else?
Portal 1 beat that.
Speaking of still alive.
Yeah.
And I beat Portal 2 again. Because,
Those games never get old.
dude, those games
Just
are
so-
great.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. I mean, I love them. But then also starting there, and I've continued playing it because it is so much stupid fun.
Seriously?
Yeah, dude, that game is stupid fun, but the Tokyo Olympics 2020.
And that's
Yeah.
fun, you're telling me.
Dude, don't knock it. That game is... Scott and Jacob played it. Like, it's legitimately a fun little, like, party game.
When did Sonic and Mario make their appearance?
Hopefully never, because I don't care for those ones as much. This one was actually fun.
All right.
I had a good time with it.
So,
the
like,
crazy.
do you just
Go
like
ahead.
do you just like press X and circle like in a shot put or something like that, or
It depends. Like, so the shot put one, you have to like rotate the right stick over and over and over, and then
Oh,
hit like the A button to release during a certain time.
No. That's not how it worked. You had to hold.
Whoa, man.
You had to
That's funny,
hold the
dude.
LB and RB buttons with one hand, and then rotate the joystick with the
Oh
other.
yeah, and then let go.
and then release the LB and RB buttons at the same time to release the throw.
Couldn't you just use one? Couldn't you just hold the controller like normal and press the bumpers and rotate the stick?
You could, but
The-
the way that the game actually recognizes how you're controlling the stick is how much you were keeping to the outside edge. So if you actually go into the inside edge of it at all, it actually penalizes you a little bit.
Oh, okay.
So we found out the method of like rolling that joystick with your palm made it go better. We were throwing that hammer throw like 110 yards.
Yeah,
Just
at one
just
point.
setting world records.
it was absurd.
Yeah,
But then
that was kind of crazy.
the baseball in it's actually a lot of fun.
I didn't know baseball was an Olympic sport. I'm not gonna
Yeah.
lie.
It's in there.
I had no idea.
The actual like running events and the hurdles is obscenely fun when you're doing it next to somebody, because it's just a straight button mash.
Mm-hmm.
But like you'll just see two people sitting there just beating the crap out of a controller, just be like, no, faster.
I thought the one where you actually like had to pass the baton to somebody was pretty interesting because you had to like time.
Yeah, because that one was
Time it
a button
right.
mash.
Yeah,
It was
had-
keeping a specific pace on a
yeah.
meter, and then making sure to hit the button at the right time to pass the baton. But then that runner, the window gets smaller, and so you just got to keep that tempo in there. And then once you get to the fourth one, like it's a super tiny window, and you just got to sit there and keep the time going.
The crazy thing about that game is that each of the events in that title would have been a great standalone game 10 years ago. Like you could have made a full-blown game out of the mechanics that they put into one event. And they have so many different mechanics going with these. It's actually kind of impressive.
Yeah, there's
Um,
none of the games repeat mechanic wise.
Yeah. I didn't enjoy it as long as CB did. I definitely did not play it after the effect, after Extra Life, but I would have assumed that made for pretty entertaining, viewing when we were
Oh, yeah.
live streaming that, because we were getting into it pretty hardcore.
I really wish there was more events.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I would have loved a pole vault or a high jump.
Mm-hmm.
So
I'm sure. I'm surprised there wasn't like a 2024 one.
I know.
It's kind of weird. Anyway, Zach, what have you been catching up on, man?
No Olympics here. Sorry to say.
No.
But I beat Gun, which I
Nice.
which I threatened to do last week.
How long is it?
It's got to be 5 hours.
Seriously, it's that
Yeah.
short?
Because I did like almost, I think I did like 45% of the side quests as well. And I beat it in about 6 hours.
Dude, I just remember spending so much time on that game
Yeah, well, I
when
think,
it first came out.
well, when you're used to games averaging 35 hours these days, like, 10-hour game feels short, but back then you're like, oh, it's got a little meat on it, you know. You
Right.
beat Gears of War in 5 hours, but yeah, you do all these side quests. You're like, oh, this game's got a lot going on. Yeah, but that game's great. I love how in the back half it just kind of turns into like an Indiana Jones style movie. It's pretty cool,
Especially the final boss.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that last location as well.
Yeah.
It's just the game was written by the guy who wrote Mask of Zorro, and I feel like you can tell in the back half of it. It's just like a very adventure movie feel to everything. It's super cool though.
I love that game.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, I can't wait to revisit it again already. I'm happy I could do it on the Steam Deck. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's great.
Then I also beat Trigger Witch, which I talked about last week. You got the platinum. Pretty easy platinum though. But the game itself, dude, the characters are really charming all the way throughout. I appreciate that most of your side cast has like a little arc. Like her friends have pretty satisfying arcs, which I just didn't expect in this kind of game. But truly, what's worth, you have to almost play this game for the last dungeon alone. This game takes such an unexpected swerve that I can't even hint at it. It is truly astonishing. It's a real, like, you're either gonna love it, what they do, or you're gonna absolutely hate it. And I was firmly in the love camp. But I think you could be like liking the game for most of the run, but that last dungeon is gonna be a make or break it moment for you. Guaranteed.
I am going to have to buy this game. Just out of morbid curiosity at this point.
Well, it's twin stick Zelda as we were talking about. So I mean, I feel confident you'll like it regardless. I hope.
Yeah. I just looked it up. It's $15. I may just have to bite the bullet.
Yeah, I see what you did there. Or maybe though. But then Paper Mario: The Thousand-Year Door. I also started because Scott Clark was in Portland a few weeks ago and foisted his copy upon me. So I played a few hours of Paper Mario. Kind of a weird. I feel kind of mixed on it right now.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because the combat is kind of it's very easy. It's
very easy.
And I'm not trying to be like elitist gamer guy, but like, I fell asleep on the bus playing this game, which has not happened before. Because it really is like, for a majority of the combat encounters, it's kind of a challenge to take damage. It's just so easy to parry and everything.
Yep.
I'm not, but outside of that, the game itself, very charming. When an early boss fight changes course into a trivia game, like that's just very fun. It's hard to be mad at that. And yeah, most of the dialogue is very it's a very funny game. The characters are Luigi, loving Luigi so far in this game.
Isn't he so good?
He's incredible. I'm a Luigi. Who doesn't like Luigi? But just hearing him going on an adventure that's almost exactly the same, but I love that he keeps calling you bro. Bro, you gotta check this out, bro. I gotta save a princess. You're not gonna believe this. I know you've never heard of this, bro, but I'm saving this princess.
I love how like Mario falls asleep while he's telling the story because he gets long-winded.
Yeah, Mario just seems like a bad brother. I'm not gonna lie. But yeah, no, it's fun. I like your little sidekicks. Koops is cool. Big fan of Goombella. She's great. The little interludes where you're playing as Peach or Bowser or whatever. Like there's a lot to love about the game. It's just I'm trying to avoid the enemies on the field because I don't really feel like doing more of the combat.
See, and I couldn't avoid them because experience, and I just like it when it's easy.
But you get so little. You get like 2 XP a battle. It doesn't seem very thrilling.
Well, it's like gauge. Like depending on what level you are, if you're a high enough level, it'll give you little experience.
I guess I kind of wish if you were so over level that you're only going to get 2 XP, I kind of wish the enemies would like run away from you or something.
There's actually a badge for that.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
That'll alleviate probably my primary complaint of the game. So the badges are, I don't know why you would bother leveling up health or I can see the FP, I think I've leveled up once, but dude, I'm all in on the badge points.
Dude, that's all I did. Like I think I did health and FP points once or twice at the beginning, and then all I did was badge points for the rest of the game.
Yeah, absolutely. Why wouldn't you just want to be able to equip everything?
Yeah. I kind of want to know if it's possible to do a run doing nothing but badge points when you level up.
That'd be cool. Yeah,
Because it seems very very doable.
There's got to be a run where you just do nothing but badges, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Yeah, so I'm liking it. I wish I was loving it, I guess I would say, but because you hear so much about this game and how incredible it is. But
I still like the first one better. I feel like I'm in the minority of that, but the first one had better pacing, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm obviously not at a point yet where I could compare them fairly, but I love the first Paper Mario.
Me too.
But I was also
you got a lot more characters as well.
What's that?
You got a lot more playable characters as well.
Oh, is that right?
Oh yeah, like there's a lot.
I assumed this game, because it was longer, would have more party members.
That's what I mean.
Like okay. You're saying
you
here
have more party members coming. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought you were saying the original Paper Mario had more.
Oh no. Okay. My apologies.
Yeah. No. Yeah. I'm obviously gonna stick it out. I gotta see I think it's just like I was probably the age playing Paper Mario when the people who love Thousand Year Door were playing Thousand Year Door. If that makes sense. So I feel like that's probably.
You know what's crazy to me is, as easy as the game is, there's an easy mode.
That's like unbelievable.
It's just seriously crazy to me. Like, who's struggling with this game? I mean, and again, I don't mean to sound like an elitist when I say this. It's just not a very difficult game. I mean, the dodges are very easy to time.
Right.
And there's even bonus dodges, like hidden ones that you may not know about. Like you can do it. You can hit the button a second time and get an extra dodge or an extra attack.
Oh, yeah, I did not know that.
Yeah, but you get a badge later that like highlights them when they do it.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, but I am liking it, no doubt.
All right.
It's just and like you're always doing new stuff. The Nintendo effect, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like it's just while you're in the dungeons, they're always throwing surprises at you, which is cool. But then outside of that, due to recent news, I'm sure we'll get into, I had no choice but to boot up Darksiders 2.
I've never played Darksiders 2.
Wow, okay.
Isn't it the one that's like all loot based? Like it's like Diablo?
Yes, very much so.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Have you only played, did you play 3?
I played a little bit of 3. I played a lot of 1.
So you just played 1. The Zelda
one. I played a good amount of 4.
Oh, of Genesis?
Or Genesis, it wasn't 4.
The shooting one.
Yeah.
Well, Darksiders 2 is the RPG one, very action RPG. You're not like getting a lot of new loot, otherwise I would probably hate it. But
it's not like Diablo,
and you don't have to go into a menu to equip it. You can equip it straight from the field if it's better.
Imagine that.
It's pretty nice.
Yeah,
you're just cutting down on some menus. But yeah, I mean, other than that, the dungeons are a lot simpler than I think the first game. I think they're trying to keep that action RPG pacing to it. But it's, Darksiders 2 is so great. Death is a wonderful character. I mean, all of the horsemen are, I suppose. But this is the one I've played the least myself, so I really just wanted to boot it up and get back into it a little bit because there's some Darksiders excitement happening, as we'll talk about later. But
how did you go back and finish the first one?
It's insane that you haven't.
I know, right?
I just assumed that you had.
Okay. I'm
it.
guilty as well, so.
I think you both enjoy Darksiders for different reasons. But Scott, it's just the first one is just Zelda.
It's straight up. It's like skulls instead of hearts.
Yeah, it's not tricking you. It's just Zelda.
Isn't Mark Hamill the voice of the shopkeeper in the game?
Well, he's your Navi.
Your Navi.
He's with you the whole time. But yeah, that's Mark Hamill, man. Anyway, you owe it to yourself to play Darksiders. I can understand if you wouldn't like 2 or 3 as they are different genres, but you got to play the first one. I love them all. I think it's cool they've committed to giving each of the horsemen their own style of game.
That's such a great concept. I just love it. Isn't it like we were talking about that last week about the SteamWorld games?
Yeah.
That like each one is like a completely different genre. Like that's really cool that they do that.
Yeah, I definitely think so.
As for me, I went through and finished Inside, replaying that game. That game is still great. That ending, I liked it a lot better this time.
Oh yeah.
The first time I just was kind of like, really, that's it? That's it?
Yeah. Well, especially, I don't know if you were. I feel like I went into it with so much hype that I was like, really?
Yeah. It just kind of ended on I don't even know if you call it a down note. It just ended on a nothing burger.
But on a note.
It did. There
Yeah.
certainly was a note. I'm not sure which one it was, but that was there.
Dude, that ending is so much fun to play. It's so clever, some of the puzzles and stuff they do, and I just forgot how ominous that game feels too, just with the sound design and the fact, like, it's one of the few games that they let a physical harm come to a child.
And lots of it.
Lots of it, like that, and between that and Limbo. But that, and I just dabbled a little bit more in Skyforce Anniversary and Reloaded a little bit.
Have you passed me yet?
Dude, I passed you at Extra Life by I doubled your score.
Okay, fine. I'll have to get back on.
On Reloaded, I don't know about Anniversary.
Whoa, what the hell happened to CB while he was gone? He just admitted he was incorrect about something.
Incorrect?
Well, because he said that you had to beat a score, but then you said you already beat it, and he was like, "Oh, okay, I guess I gotta go back on there and beat it."
Yeah,
I just feel like I don't know.
I did have a little bit of help. TJ was playing on my save file.
Well, I think CB
for a
was,
while.
I think CB was trying to rebuttal me. You gotta get.
Oh,
no, okay. What's going on? Anyway, sorry, TJ. I apologize. TJ was doing something.
No, he actually got me quite a few upgrades. I think I was bowling at Extra Life at one point when he was playing.
Oh,
yeah,
and cheating.
I
apparently, he was letting TJ.
Yeah,
well, it wasn't the intention. I just came back and he was playing it. I didn't tell him to do it. But it's difficult to get back into that game when you don't start from scratch, because you don't have the levels memorized. So it's like you just gotta memorize. The game is very much about memorization.
It's not like they're long.
But the game does some really clever things. Like I was on a level where it actually disables all of your attack, so you just have to it's just about dodging through the entire thing and collecting the humans and collecting the stars and everything like that, but you can't shoot anything. It's very nerve-wracking. But it really sucks when you get to the very end of a level where you're trying to complete a run where you don't take any hits and you take a hit at the very end and you got to run through the entire level again. It's maddening, but also satisfying when you finally do it. So I am not regretting that $17 purchase to get those games again. All right, that's the games we've been catching up on. Let's go ahead now and jump into the week's news. Before we get in the news, I want to talk to you guys about Yetee shirts. We've talked about them in the past. Yetee, Yetee, not the traditional spelling of Yeti. They make some of the coolest video game shirts around. Super comfortable. I bought one of them myself. Zach, you can attest. How cool is that Zelda? The Link one with the red eyes and everything like that.
The Dark Link shirt, right?
Dark Link.
Yeah.
Oh, it is so awesome. It's in my repertoire. And every day they have brand new shirts coming. And if you're an artist, he's actually doing a campaign right now looking for new artists to get put on their T-shirts. So be sure to hit him up. The website is theyetee.com, THEYETEE.com. You will not be disappointed in the quality of these shirts. These are high quality. They're not just screen printed. They are legit shirts. Very good. And I'm very, very happy with every one that I've gotten so far.
Somebody submit some Red Dead shirts so I can snag one off there.
Oh, I'll put a bug in his ear. See what I can do.
Okay.
Make that happen. I got a couple new trailers. I'm the only one that cares, but Pinball FX announced new tables for Princess Bride and Goat Simulator. More excited for Princess Bride, obviously.
Two franchises of equal pop cultural importance.
But they look great. Also, it's another week of bad news. Bungie is the next company to lay off employees. Game Informer magazine is officially dying. And lastly, Zach alluded to it, but THQ Nordic had a digital showcase this week with some new announcements. CB, it's been a minute. I'm going to let you pick the story first, man. What do you want to talk about?
Let's rage.
Which one?
Bungie.
That is narrow it down.
Bungie.
All right, go ahead.
This is one of the few times in my life I just want to be like, just should have stayed where you started.
Ooh, I wasn't even thinking about going there, but
I don't know what that means.
Oh, I mean, they were at Xbox first, right?
We're Xbox.
Oh.
Sony bought us up. Watch us get gutted.
Well, they went independent first, right?
Yeah.
So
I mean, they were always kind of independent. They were just affiliated more.
No, they were owned by Xbox until Halo 3
They
came
were,
out.
but then they went independent, but they were still affiliated, and then they're like,
Right. That's true.
we're just going to go straight Sony now.
Yeah.
Yeah, that didn't pay off.
I don't think that has anything to do with
No.
It seems like they tricked Sony at this point.
Yeah.
Well, and yes, that's why I said, like, we fooled you, and Sony's like, no, watch this, we're going to fool
Yeah.
you.
All right, let's get into it.
This is a little heartbreaking because Bungie's been an OG for a while. Like, they
Who could forget Oni on PS2?
I mean, it's there.
Yeah,
But,
that game
I mean,
rules.
When you have a company that launched themselves into the stratosphere on Halo, and then like this is now what it's become. Like they're
Destiny was pretty successful as well, man.
I know, but when I think of Bungie, like I keep forgetting the fact that they did Destiny, because to me, Bungie will always be Halo to me. It's always there.
Okay.
But so now they're going to be going the way of the dinosaur. Kind of. They're not dead yet, but 220 roles eliminated, roughly 17%. In the article I read, it said a lot of it is upper management. Like upper management.
Not Pete Parsons.
Yeah, he's fine buying some more cars, vroom.
Yeah. But and then like 155 are being moved over to SIE, so roughly 12%. So like you're talking over
30%, almost 30%.
30% of your company gone, and I'm willing to bet this isn't the beginning. I mean, this isn't the end. Like there's going to be more coming. Cuz they're talking like they're in works to start a brand new space shooting IP. And I'm like, okay, so the one thing that you have done, for the most part, just going to be reshelled again.
Yeah, I did think it was funny that they're spinning off a team to make a new studio inside of Sony, and that their brand new IP is another space fantasy franchise. So is this their fourth space fantasy franchise in a row?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want it to be the end of Bungie, but it does seem like the writing's on the wall. Like I'm willing to bet this is going to get a year into production and then just into the void.
Man, it's only August, man. We're a few months away from our predictions for 2025. You should table that for that discussion.
No, I'm just putting that one out there now.
Yeah, that one for free, Scott.
Because it's sad. Like I loved the idea of consolidating some of these companies, giving them a bigger war chest to work with, but almost every single one now they've all kind of fallen to the same fate almost.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's crazy. I don't know. It's hard to look at Bungie and then even recognize it at this point outside of Pete Parsons. Like getting rid of Luke Smith in this round of layoffs is crazy. That's the guy who did the Witch Queen, the expansion everybody loved, and headed up the Final Shape, the last expansion which everybody loved. So it's weird. It's weird that he would get eliminated. But I guess it probably saves Pete Parsons' paycheck by doing that. And then remember in the last round of layoffs, they got rid of Salvatore, the composer who'd been there forever. Like what? It's just who even is this company now?
But it's on both. Like it's not just Sony. Like it's Xbox as well. The fact that we keep having these games that sell well, and they're like, and we're just gonna gut these developers now. Because Hi-Fi Rush, same thing.
Oh, sure, yeah.
So
yeah, because Final Shape came out, did well, and critically lauded, and then you still get laid off. Yeah, that's pretty. That would suck.
Yes.
Well, I mean, let me throw some numbers at you though, just because I heard these on a podcast I listened to this week, and so I haven't fact checked this, but it was a pretty reputable show, and they said that the overhead annually for employees at Bungie is around $1 million, and the revenue they got from what was this last DLC called again?
The Final Shape.
The Final Shape netted them about $500,000.
Yeah.
So yes, it's successful.
Well, sorry.
No, you where I'm going. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, yeah. Well, I don't know. This is a leadership problem because you could only sell the final shape to people who were already dedicated to Destiny, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because the way they set up Destiny is you're not allowed to get into it.
Right.
So I'm not like, I don't know. I never understood that business model, but you're just like straight up telling people new players are not welcome. And that's very strange. It would be very weird if Game of Thrones is going into season 8 and they said you're not allowed to watch seasons 1 through 5 though.
Yeah.
Like people
Good point.
love endings. They like to be a part of things. Destiny was ending this 10-year storyline. I would have been curious. I know I'm not alone, but you're not allowed to play it. You're not allowed to see the story. It's a confusing.
Well, they keep pigeonholing
choice.
everything down.
Well, yeah, they keep eliminating single player campaigns. You're not allowed to play them anymore. It's I don't understand. I assumed it's maybe to keep the file size down, but then you should be able to add it on as a separate thing, right? Like it's just
why
very
it takes
strange.
up more server space and more money, and
but you can't.
I know what you're saying, but that's going to be their counter argument. They're like,
right.
but server space, and I'm
But
like,
that's
then
the
buy
argument.
a few more hard drives.
I say that's only the argument of an out of touch leadership, though, right? Because I guarantee you, anybody on the ground floor wants as many people to see the final shape as possible, right? I'm not saying you're wrong, CB. I'm agreeing with you. It's just
You mean the people actually like coding and making this game?
Yeah, they want people to play it, right?
Yeah.
But
why wouldn't they?
I'm to the point that I'm tired of the like, but server space, and I'm like, then build another server. It's not that difficult.
Right, piggyback off. Use those servers the Last of Us factions aren't going to use now. Yeah.
But I mean, like you go to these companies and you see these massive walls of server farms, and I'm like, what's 2 more? Like, is it really that big of a deal?
I think what's deeply frustrating, especially about these Bungie layoffs, is like I can't even blame Sony because they're not on the board yet. Because remember when they bought them out, Bungie had this incredible sweetheart deal where they still got to run the companies the way they wanted, unless they fail financial milestones. So they keep cutting jobs to try to keep Sony off the board or keep them out of charge. But it just feels like it really does feel like they lied to Sony. Like if this was their financial targets without PlayStation involved, like they would be out of business right now, right? If they didn't have Sony's money,
easily out of
like it would
they'd be dead.
It'd be a colossal disaster, or they would have to take a deal for not $3 billion. This is a shout out to Jim Ryan for making this terrible purchase, this lemon purchase on his way out the door. I'm sure they appreciate that over there.
How much did they pay for Bungie?
It was like $2.3 billion. Is that right?
It was a ridiculous number.
It was it was an insane amount of money.
Like everybody even questioned it when they bought them. They're like, so you're buying Destiny 2? Like, because that's like, congrats, you bought the IP. Just Destiny 2, not Destiny 1.
Right.
And these people, like, that's what you bought.
My biggest point, and I wish you could find the numbers that I shared with. Oh, I actually did find it.
3.6 billion
is that I'm backing up what you're saying, Zach. Is that this is a leadership issue? I mean, just straight up. I'm gonna read to you guys a tweet, and this comes from Jason Schreier. This is the facts that he put together. January 10th, 2022. Take-Two buys Zynga for $12 billion. January 18th, 2022. Xbox buys Activision for $69 billion. February 1st, 2022. Sony buys Bungie for $3.6 billion. Fast forward 2 years later. January 5th, 2024. Xbox Activision lay off 1,900 people. April 17th, 2024. Take-Two lays off 600 people. July 31st, 2024, Bungie lays off 220 people. It's almost like Zack was right when he was harping on us for cheering for Microsoft.
For acquisitions?
For acquisition.
Okay. But I did read another...
Oh, I really want to hear this. Yeah.
No, hang on. I did read another article where they talked about where some of these companies are immensely overinflated with people. And a lot of that is due to, during COVID... you had a large amount of people working from home on separate projects with no oversight. So you had more and more people being hired to work at home. But now that they've condensed back down into an office, they're like, we have too many people.
I've also read people suggest this is a right sizing, but this is far too. Bungie specifically feels far too egregious to be a right sizing situation. This is a company that has almost half of the staff it had last October now.
But like Scott just said with the numbers, like the overhead of this company is $1 million a year.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And they're bringing in $500,000. So,
Right.
I mean, right sizing is a thing. Granted, yes, I guarantee you the CEO is paid way too much for their job. But at the same time, like, you bought this company for $3.6 billion. You can't take a yearly $500,000 loss while they're working on something different?
Well, yeah.
I don't know what their coffers look like. Obviously, I'm not.
If you can buy a company for $3.6 billion and still function and still buy other things, you have enough money in your coffers to take a $500,000 hit a year for a couple years.
I believe they could. I agree with you, but I believe from my understanding, Bungie is afraid of losing control of itself to PlayStation because they have to hit a certain revenue milestone, and they can't do that with all the staff because their final circle was like a disaster, or it didn't bring in the money they needed. Sorry.
Otherwise, Sony takes control of Bungie's properties.
They take because if you remember the original deal, right? Bungie stayed entirely autonomous, and it made no sense whatsoever that PlayStation bought them. From my humble opinion,
it was basically, we're going to line your pockets with money, make things for us.
Well, yeah, but it basically seemed like they wanted their live service expertise, which seems like a bad idea now. But if they don't make their certain milestones, PlayStation gets to seed the board.
Oh, so the milestone is we're going to cut a bunch of people. So we still now we have less people to work on projects. So down the road, we shoot ourselves in the face repeatedly because now we can't reach the next goal because we don't have the staff to do that.
Sounds like a corporation to me.
And so then we're going to shoot ourselves in the foot again. So we've already cut off the right arm. Let's cut off the left arm to stay alive, and then wonder why we can't do anything at all now.
And then you throw in there on top of that how Pete Parsons is under so much fire. like they went and saw that he bought like all these old cars in an online auction or something like that for like $3 million or something like that. Which
you gave him the money. Congrats. He can do whatever he wants with it.
I was gonna say he's allowed to spend his money.
Okay, because that's how I felt a little bit. Like if he's earned that money and that's what he's contracted to make or whatever, I don't have a problem with what he spends his money on. So I really was expecting to be having to defend that point.
I have a problem with you getting to keep your job after nothing but a string of failures.
3 times in a row.
Well,
this is the 3rd time.
While other people get to keep theirs.
Right.
That's what I have a problem with. You can get paid what you want. You can spend your money however you want, but there's got to eventually be some kind of repercussion for your inability to run the company you're supposed to be running.
You know where we never hear stories like this at?
Japan.
Nintendo.
Yeah, Nintendo.
No, because they quietly exit the company.
I don't know, man. When you learn Super Mario Brothers Wonder has all of the original staff of the first Mario game still working on it, like that's crazy.
I understand that, but when you look at a lot of other companies like Nintendo, like even Sega back in the day, like you screwed up. It's not some big public like we're gonna lay off all these people. Like you screwed up. They're like, sorry, I made a mistake. I'm gonna see myself out the door.
Yeah, that would be
nice. It was taking ownership for failures.
That. Yeah, some personal accountability.
But that's the problem. We don't do that anymore. Now it's all your fault.
Yeah.
You didn't make a good enough game, even though we shipped this game way too early with way too many bugs. Yes.
I don't know, guys. I'm just getting tired of I feel like this is all the news is on this show anymore, is like layoffs and bad news, things that just awful things happening in the industry that I think Zack brought up months ago is thriving financially. Like it's making money. Like if you look at the numbers It might, I guess, it might be down a little bit if you look at the NPDs and stuff, but it's still making tons and tons and tons of money.
Because what we see is like, look at the movie industries. You could sit here and make. I spent $190 million to make this movie, but it only made $220 million. Therefore, it's still a failure. I'm like, you made money, you dumbass.
Yeah, it's why I'm not in the business world. I'm in a safe little career that is always going to be needed, and I'm not going to ever be laid off because, they can't find enough teachers. So
the unfortunate thing is it's not going to stop because, as we've seen year after year, the budget on these games just keeps getting larger and larger, and it's going to get to the point it's not sustainable. It's
like, how many games have we played that are some of our favorite games of the past few years that are not AAA multi-billion-dollar games?
Or the fact that companies keep pumping out games that nobody asks for. There's so many people asking, like, give us good single-player games. Hey, guess what? We got another multiplayer game coming out for you this year. Oh, cool. And then you wonder why it's like, look at Pal World. One of the biggest games of the...
I haven't heard anybody talk about Pal World in months.
It's because the servers now are populated by less than 10,000 players. Because
that was a flash in the pan.
That's what... But look at all the games. All of them. Mm-hmm. They're wildly successful for like 2-3 months, and then gone.
I mean, that's oversaturation is a thing.
It's oversaturation, but there's no longevity to these games. There's no replayability to these games.
It's also consumers are very, looking for the next thing. You know what I mean? Like,
not always. When you look at the multiplayer games that are still wildly successful, it's because they constantly have good quality updates.
Well, that and they were the first ones to do it.
Fallout 76, game's still chugging along. Right. I mean, it keeps getting more and more traction because they're putting out quality content that the people ask for.
Right.
So I was reading this, or was glancing over to Pete Parsons saying while you guys were yelling about multiplayer games, and he uses the phrase, "We're deepening our integration with Sony." So it sounds like maybe part of that buyout clause has already been triggered, right?
Sounds like
it's like
gone a little too far already.
Yeah. So that's interesting to see how that'll develop. Because now I'm definitely remembering reporting, maybe from even Jason Schreier, or maybe Steven Totillo, about how there's a buyout clause about missing goals, and it sounds they've missed. Like you said, this is their third. Is this their third layoff since Sony bought them?
To my knowledge,
third round. Yeah. So yeah. Anyway, not looking good for Bungie, is what I'm saying.
Yeah. No.
Marathon better be an absolute banger.
Right. If it happens.
Dude, maybe PlayStation will get in there and undelete the Destiny 2 campaigns and save it.
No. They're just going to cut their loss and move on.
I think that's your only shot.
I would be super interested to see what happens if that happened.
I think I would check out Destiny 2.
Yeah?
I think so.
I mean, I have no reason to go try it now.
That's exactly right. Yeah, that you have no option to.
If Sony was smart, they would, because look at the huge amount of people that came back to World of Warcraft when they did World of Warcraft Classic. They're like,
yeah, let's actually
delete everything, go back in time. Everybody's like, I remember this was fun.
A decent comparison point.
Well, let's move on. Zach, you got any better news for us?
You know what? I am going to lighten it up, Scott. I'm going to talk about the THQ digital showcase.
Or leave me with the crappy news.
I sure am. Well, we need a break, all right? That's what I'm saying. They showed off a few of their new stuff we already knew about as well. They showed The Eternal Life of Goldman. It's coming to PS5, PC, Switch, PS5, Xbox. I don't know if you get Space for Sale. You can stop me if any of these interest you. How about that? Epic Mickey Rebrushed. Did it have a release date before? But either way,
I don't think so, no.
It's coming September 24th. I do kind of want to play this game because I love war.
I never played the original.
Yeah, I enjoyed what I played of it, but I only played a few hours because I couldn't do the Wii motion for it. So
you won't have to this time,
That's
right?
exactly right. Now that's gone, I'm definitely more interested. And I love Warren Spector. So I think I'll check this out at some point, though I might not rush right away. They announced Wreckfest 2 got showed off briefly. That was a weird trailer. Guy was basically reciting a love poem to his car. Titan Quest 2 got showed off. It's a very Diablo kind of game. Gothic remake. I thought this looked pretty interesting. I've never played Gothic.
Me either. I've never even heard of it.
But I know it's beloved in CRPG circles. Way of the Hunter got some DLC shown off. Tarsier Studios, I didn't realize that they were hooking up with THQ for their next game. This is the Little Nightmares team.
Mm-hmm.
This was a infuriating teaser. It was basically a teaser letting you know that they're going to tease it in a few weeks.
Yeah,
that was pretty obnoxious.
But teaser of the teaser.
Yeah, it was just weird. And then Darksiders, new Darksiders coming.
That was also a tease.
Yeah, but that was a tease that tingles me, so I give it a pass, obviously.
Yeah. So what genre do you want that game to be? We joked on text message about
shmup,
a farming simulator.
Well, I think it's gonna depend on what they do. It said be prepared to ride again, which scares me a little bit that it's like a remake of Darksiders 1 or something. But I'm just gonna hope and pray that I'm just reading too much into it, and it's just saying be prepared to ride again, as in welcome back, you horse boy.
If they're saying be prepared to ride again, that's a remake.
I hope not. CB, we're not putting that out there. Okay, we're not putting that energy out there. Okay. CB, we're not putting that energy out there.
I'm putting it out there. I'm putting it out there because I didn't play one.
It's available. You don't need to go hunting.
I know. I own it. I just haven't played it.
But a remake would make you play it.
Because that was early Xbox 360, correct?
Right, 2010. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I mean, that was 14 years ago.
I understand.
I've seen games get remade sooner, faster.
Look, no, I'm not arguing with you, but this is a franchise that felt like it's always been fighting for its next game. So please don't waste a slot on a remake. However, I would absolutely buy the remake right away. So I'm part of, if that's what it needs. But I'm hoping it is a Darksiders 4. Now, Scott, to your point, which genre? If it's a Strife game, based on the Fourth Horseman. If they don't count Genesis as a Strife game, which I would, then I would assume it's just going to play like Remnant because it's being developed by Gunfire Games, who made Remnant 1 and 2. So I assume that would just be like Remnant but with Strife. And that'd be cool. I'd play that absolutely. But what I really want it to be is because it's the fourth game, it's about the Four Horsemen. You just call it Darksiders the 4, or Darksiders the Four Horsemen or something, and you just make it the conclusion finally.
Yeah,
Darksiders team up. It's a MOBA.
The 4-player, God, no. It would be a nice 4-player co-op Zelda puzzler. It'd be cool. It'd be great. Or whatever genre they want it to be. Just finally get the Four Horsemen together, and finally conclude that cliffhanger from the first game. Finally,
it's gonna be like Castle Crashers.
Well, that sucks. I hope not. No,
Zelda Four Swords Adventure.
I couldn't bear that, and yet I would buy it. So who am I? I'm a sucker for the franchise. There's no doubt about it.
Zack, I'm surprised you weren't mentioning more about this Eternal Life of Goldman. I think that looks actually really cool.
It does. I told you to stop me if it looked interesting.
Well, you were on such a roll, man.
Right. No, I sure know how to read. It's true.
The reason I thought this one would have stuck out to you more is like you've mentioned back in the Returnal days, like we hardly ever get games based on elderly people.
Yeah,
and you're playing as a little old guy with a white beard.
That's true. Yeah, it's a good point.
It's just like a charming platformer too. I love the art style.
Well, Returnal more astonished me because it was an older female, which is just
that's true.
That's one of a kind for Returnal.
I still have that game sealed right over here. I've not opened that game.
Oh man,
I got to stop buying games, guys. Seriously, it's a sickness.
Hey, Returnal's fun.
What was a game I almost bought today just because you and Mike were talking about it?
Might and Magic Clash of Heroes.
Yeah, it's on sale on Steam, and I was like, man,
it's a very good
game. You guys
game.
made me want to play that game.
Yeah, well, yeah.
When am I gonna play?
But anyway, I had an exciting time at THQ Nordic strictly because of the last thing. I was really hoping for that Soul Reaver 1 and 2 remaster that Dark Horse accidentally leaked to get announced here, but maybe a game. I guess that's such a big deal. It'd probably be better suited as a Gamescom announcement.
Scott and I were just talking about that not that long ago too.
The Soul Reaver.
Yes.
Well, I mean, there was a logo for it. Like it's obviously real.
I know. Like if any one game needs a remake or a remaster,
yeah, dude, I mean, I've been waiting my whole life for the right reason to play those games.
you and I, and that one's like perfectly in that window that it's well loved enough and it's been long enough that why hasn't it been made just still boggles my mind.
I mean, I feel like that franchise is ripe for the kind of Spyro Reignited or Crash Insane trilogy thing, where you just remake it as it was, but with prettier looking stuff.
I mean, give me 1 and 2 again,
Right?
and watch it sell like gangbusters,
Yep.
and then finally remake the third one like the way it should have been, instead of the development hell and
Right. Legacy of
everything
Kain
that happened to it.
Defiance, or are you talking about Soul Reaver? Was there supposed to be a Soul Reaver 3, or are you talking
There
about
was what started as Soul Reaver 3, but then turned into that other game.
Yeah, Legacy of Kain Defiance. That's the one where Kain and Raziel team up, right? Where you play as both of them finally.
Yeah, but there was another one that did get scrapped.
Oh, I mean, I don't know enough to disagree. I know they did Blood Omen 2 after Soul Reaver 2, and they did Legacy of Kain Defiance. Either way, I've been want to play these games forever. Played the first Blood Omen, loved it to death. Soul Reaver, my experience with it was on a Vita, and I just don't think that was the right way to try to play that game. So this is that would be perfect. Anyway, none of that was actually announced, so it's totally irrelevant. But Dark Horse is also owned by Embracer, and it's pretty obvious some marketing wires got crossed because they put the wrong logo out for those statues. But
Well, like you said, Gamescom is next week, so
yeah, 2 weeks.
No.
Yeah, well,
2 weeks. Yeah,
and
it's coming soon.
Yeah, so in 2 weeks. 2 weeks. Anyway.
Yeah.
Anyway, Scott, what did you want to talk about in the news?
Oh, more bad news.
Really?
Game Informer magazine. It's been published for 33 years. The entire staff has been laid off. Man,
suddenly too, right? I mean, like
very suddenly.
Yeah.
Like they just like nixed the entire website, so like anything that was on there is just not accessible anymore.
Dude,
you can't.
And there were news stories being posted that morning.
Right.
So yeah, this absolutely was last second.
The thing about this story that makes me feel terrible is I'm part of the problem, man. Is I have not read Game Informer. I think I have a pro membership at GameStop, which gets me like a digital version of it.
It gets you a print one too, but they often lie to you and tell you that you can't.
Oh, really? They told me I couldn't.
No, they're lying to you because I still got print ones.
I was gonna say, when I worked at GameStop, they told me to lie about it. Like that was part of the training because your numbers look better if you do a print one. Therefore, the store looks better.
You mean if you do a digital one?
Digital one, yeah. I'm sorry. Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. So my boss told me to just lie. If people say, "Oh, do you still do print?" to just say, "No, we don't," even though they did.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
GameStop.
Right. Yeah.
I didn't subscribe to the magazine, although I guess I should have. I should have been getting it. I don't know. The Game Informer always stood out to me because like their covers were not like they didn't just like take images from
They were artsy.
like the art assets of the developer. They kind of did their own thing and made
Yeah. The Sea of Stars cover was beautiful. Came out last year.
And they did the deal where like if you opened up the magazine, the front and back covers like made one giant picture.
Yeah.
Like it was just very cool, and nobody does that anymore. And I understand that print media is kind of a way of the dodo at this point, but
right,
it's kind of a bummer.
Print magazines, especially, are just the domain of Kickstarter at this point.
Right.
Yeah.
Very much so.
Enthusiasts only.
Or very expensive, very niche things.
Yes, that's true.
And speaking of really crappy ways, did you read the letter that they like sent out to employees?
Yeah, to employees?
Yeah, like to the staff.
No, I don't.
Thanks. Leave.
I did not.
Or whatever they posted on Twitter. Like
if you go to the website, the thing that's just like say epic or whatever the hell it says. Yeah, that was. I mean, it was completely heartless and weird, and I know a few of the staffers thought it was AI written, which I thought was funny.
Yeah, I again, not to bring up Jason Schreier again, but he actually like put in ChatGPT, like, give me a resignation or that that Game Informer magazine is shutting down, and he compared them side by side, and they were like very, very similar.
Oh yeah.
Like, could you imagine just like getting you guys don't even have the time to write an actual thing,
Or let the staff do it, or
yeah,
like if you're EA right now, because Dragon Age: The Veilguard was their last cover story. Don't you think EA is probably annoyed that all of their marketing beats are now nuked from existence? Like you can't go there to check out the interviews or any of the videos that they did on Dragon Age 4.
It's all gone
because they decided to just get rid of the website. Why wouldn't you just keep the website active? I don't know. It can't cost that much to leave it running for a few.
Because it costs
weeks.
money to run servers.
What, like pennies?
Well, the problem is it does cost money to run servers, but then you have to keep an IT team in place, and
and you can clean up your ledger by not having the Game Informer section anymore of your accountants, I guess. I don't know, dude. It's
just getting more and more depressing to be a fan of this industry, man. It's just like I love video games so much.
It's because we have so many people at the top who are completely out of touch with the people that buy or are fans of that industry.
I think when I was a kid and I wanted video games to be huge and I wanted people to accept me for being a gamer, I want to go back to that. Because now that it's huge and such a part of society nowadays, it's been ruined.
Yeah.
It's just, I mean, don't get me wrong, I still love the games. I'm still having a lot of fun. I'm still doing a podcast after a decade. You know what I mean? It's still a huge part of my life, but I just feel like it's not as special anymore. I didn't know what I wanted, and now that I have it, I wish I don't have it.
Honestly, for me, like the last time I can remember that we had three, like it was Phil, Reggie, and Jim, and I'm like, okay, these are people that champion for their consoles.
I don't think it was Jim, wasn't it? The other guy from Sony. Who was the guy before Jim?
Sean Layden.
Sean Layden, wasn't it? Sean Layden.
Oh, you're talking about when the three of them walked out or whatever.
Yeah,
that was Sean Layden. Yeah, Reggie and
Reggie.
But
and
like,
Phil, right?
I think that was like the last time that like we had three people that actually championed for their fans.
I agree. That was the last time it felt like creatives or people that cared. Yeah, you're right, CB. We're in charge.
Yeah,
and now it feels like gaming has turned political.
I mean,
like even its fans are like at each other's throats for, being fanboys.
I say, well, Sean Layden's been, he's been very public about he left because of the way the industry was turning.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I guess he did.
Got to shake that dude's hand, man. That's a pretty cool memory.
Oh yeah.
But I mean, when you look at it now, Phil's the last one standing, and he doesn't even feel the same as he did 10 years ago.
No. Phil Spencer is an absolute liar, and nope, not. He's lost my goodwill.
He's feeling more like a puppet.
Yeah. Well, he also just lies.
I mean, he is at this point in time. He's like the queen and king. He's just a figurehead there to smile and wave, but doesn't do anything.
Yeah. Well, he's also there to be like. He's also the way he talks now just annoys me. Phil, like when he was like, these are the 4 games we're bringing over right now. Or these are the only games we're like bringing over, or whatever right now. But you know what that means is we're bringing over all of our games. Just these are the 4 we're doing right now. And it's just.
I mean, that wasn't a lie.
No, I know. I'm misremembering the wording. But yeah, I
get what you're saying.
Yeah, he did it in such a way to where you're relieved. Okay, they're just doing these 4, but really, what it means is these are the 4 we're announcing today.
Hey, we'll always have Nintendo, guys.
That's true. Yeah, they do seem to care. I just wish they developed they were responsible for the games I liked more.
Right.
But before we move on, Scott, I really wish Zack was there when we had the argument in your driveway about when I was telling you the direction I think Nintendo's headed.
Oh my God.
Well, I don't feel like I need to hear this.
Scott just
he thinks that Nintendo is going to go the way of like haptic movements or like
haptic hand controls.
Like, yeah, then no, it's not going to happen.
I hope they have people over there smart enough to know that the smartest business move is Switch 2. Switch,
yes.
But more powerful.
Yep, That's all
hand
they need to do.
controls.
I know they've only
It doesn't
really.
need hand controls.
I feel like they've only done that once for like the NES to SNES is the only time they ever were just simple about it.
But at the same time, they didn't have the technology then.
My God, I can't with this. Sounds like a
Yeah.
terrible idea.
It worked for
Don't fight the
Wii because of
future.
Wii Sports, man.
I wouldn't, because it sounds like a terrible idea. It's not impossible that Nintendo would go with it, but it does sound like a pretty terrible idea.
I think they're gonna try it.
Look at CB making predictions in August.
Right?
That's
he's-
like
he
2
can't-
big
he can't
predictions
stop
he's already
himself.
made.
Yeah.
I know.
I've been gone
Well,
for 2 months. I have
I
so
know.
much stuff
I know.
just
He's a-
bottled up.
Well, let's go on because we got a lot of games to talk about. But before we get to those, I want to remind everybody about Patreon. If you'd like to help support the show, you can do so at patreon.com/thegocast. To CB, I'm so used to reading these myself. Why don't you let everybody know what they can listen to right now?
Peace of Mind with Zack, Alyssa, and Scott, as well as Desert Island Games with Mike Card.
Mm-hmm.
And sometime in the future, I promise, Scott's gonna play Evolution, the World of Sacred Device, and
If I can
Kevin's
get your
gonna
freaking Dreamcast to work.
It's you told me that it didn't even power on, and I'm just like, boop, power's on.
No, I said it powered on. It doesn't show up on the screen. But anyway. But outside of the Desert Island episodes, Peace of Mind episodes, we also have spoiler casts, Retro Outsider episodes, and just anything that we feel like doing. We would love it if you'd check those out. And if you sign up today, you get access to our entire back catalog. How long have we been doing Patreon now? 8 years, guys? There
Something
is
like that.
so much content for you to go back and listen to. You will always have something, and none of it is super time sensitive, except for maybe spoiler casts, But everything is a lot of fun to listen to. And it helps the show out a great deal. So head over to patreon.com/thegocast. And with that, let's go ahead and jump into the new games that we've been playing. All right, Zach, what's new coming on the horizon that people can check out?
Pretty tame week. First up, we got The Crush House. You can live out your reality TV show fantasies. I think they call it a thirst-person shooter, I think, in the description.
God.
Thirst-person
I
shooter?
believe so, yes. That's coming to PC August 9th. Sam & Max, The Devil's Playhouse Remastered. Classic police dog and bunny duo coming back. That's coming to all consoles and PC August 14th. Kenna Bridge of Spirits it removes its PlayStation exclusivity and hops over to Xbox Series consoles and Xbox One August 15th. I Am Your Beast indie first-person shooter comes to PC August 15th. And Magical Delicacy, which is a cooking Metroidvania. What's the word I use? Gear-gated. Man, I'm all over the board today. That's a cooking gear-gated game coming to Switch August 15th. Scott, it's a pretty light week. Is anything on this list appealing to you?
Not really.
Yeah.
I've never played a Sam & Max game, so I guess if we're going to pick one, I'd go there just to like see what everybody talks about there, but
They're a hoot.
even that's a stretch.
Yeah. What about you, CB? Anything?
Kenna.
Kenna was good. Kenna gave me severe Star Fox Adventures Dinosaur Planet vibes.
So of course you're in.
So it was okay. It's nowhere near as good as that masterpiece, obviously, but for me this week, the real answer is I'm going to be playing Dredge's Iron Rig DLC, which comes out August 15th. But as it is not a game, I did not put it on the new games. But that's what I'm going to be playing. I'll be all over that because Dredge, amazing, excellent game.
Great. I need to get back into that.
Loved it. CB, have you played Dredge? You got to check it out, man.
No, I haven't.
All right, as long as you like fishing for eldritch monsters, you should dig it.
Okay, I'll play it.
Yeah, nothing might get you. But Sky, you obviously can't play Dredge because you're too busy playing Volgarr the Viking 2 on Xbox.
I am playing Volgarr the Viking. You guys have heard me talk about the original
Right.
in the past.
A known Volgarr fanboy over here.
Yeah, I just randomly picked up the original well after it released, and for whatever reason, this game clicked with me, which is funny because you guys know that I do not like difficult games. I can't get into Souls-like games.
But you like Ghosts and Goblins.
This is a Souls platformer.
Yeah, I don't even know if you call it a Souls because it's just straight memorization. But if you're not familiar with Volgarr the Viking, those dear listeners out there, It is a 2D platformer. Actually, the first time I played it, it reminded me. It looks more like a Sega Genesis game to me than even a Super Nintendo game, and I don't know why.
Yeah, you know what? Actually, I agree with you, man.
No, you're absolutely right. It's the color it's the color palette and the art style.
Okay, is that what it is?
Yeah.
But it is a game that is a 2D platformer. You are a Viking with a sword, and you just go from left to right, or actually sometimes right to left. And it's brutally hard. Like it's one-hit kills, like Ghosts and Goblins or Super Ghouls and Ghosts. And it's pure memorization. You just have to memorize where the enemies are coming from, and you just play it over and over and over again until you just memorize where the enemies are coming from. And I loved it. And when they announced Volgarr the Viking 2, I was so stoked. I'm like, yes, I can't wait to get my hands on this game. And played it, and it's very much the same thing. However, they've made some updates. Volgarr now has, when you go through each level, if you can avoid getting hit, because it does the Super Ghouls and Ghosts thing where you get one hit and then you're like you don't have any armor.
You knock down to your underwear.
Kind of. It's not quite. It's
your
not got
loincloth.
like hard. Yeah. But in this one, if you can survive long enough, you actually then you get a shield, and then you get then your attacks get more. So the longer that you stay alive, the more you have in your arsenal, the stronger Volgarr gets. So that's pretty cool. It also does, I keep comparing it to Ghouls and Ghosts or Ghosts and Goblins, because, there are hidden chests. So you have to jump in a specific place in the level to make it appear somewhere else. And that's all well and good. The game is just as brutally difficult. I'm loving it. However, they did one thing that bothers me, and it really kind of destroys the core game for me a little bit. As much as I love it, in the original Volgarr the Viking, you could just play, get as far as you can. If you pass level 1, if you die, you just start again at level 2, and no matter how many times you die, you start at level 2. So in Volgarr the Viking 2, the developers listened to people that complained about how hard Volgarr the Viking was.
Oh no!
And they wanted to do something to make it easier. And while I appreciate that notion of okay, maybe making an easy mode, they did that in this, but it's not like something that you select from the menu. What they did instead is, if you use a certain number of continues, your character gets, I don't want to say it's possessed or whatever. He starts getting this growth on him. He's he looks like a monster, and that makes him invincible. So he cannot.
Well, that's a hell of a correction.
He cannot take any damage. Now, when he gets hit, he will still, do the animation where he bounces back or whatever, and he can still die if he falls into pits or in spikes and things like that. But he literally takes no damage, which means you never lose any of the abilities. And I'm like, okay, that's not terrible, but I don't want to play that way. I just want to, I want to play through.
I feel like you should do a Devil May Cry thing where it's are you sure you don't want to knock it down to easy, buddy?
Right. There was no option, and I actually had to look it up in the press release to see what was going on. I'm like, I'm not taking any damage, and my character looks weird. And then I realized that this is what they were doing. So I'm like, okay, well, I just want to turn that off, right? I want to play through the game like I played Volgarr the Viking 1. I just want to get through a stage and then try to memorize that stage over and over again. No, once your character has used up that certain amount of continues, that save file is now stuck with that easy mode built into it.
That's gotta just be an oversight, right? That's so crazy. That's so weird.
It's very, very weird to me. And so basically what they do then is they give you the ability to go through and play each level after you've gotten through them. Because I beat the game on this easy mode or whatever, which is still really difficult because when it comes down to platforming and stuff, it's there's still a lot of stuff going on. So what they do is they let you unlock free play on each level, so you can practice each level, get good at it, and then go in and try to make a run on the full game, and hope that you have a good run.
Okay,
which is interesting, but it's not the way I want to play.
It feels dirty.
I want to play get through the level. I hit this like checkpoint, so to speak, and then work my way through. So again, I appreciate them listening to people that had issues with the first game, but at least give me the option, right? Like I want to play through the way I did the first game, or like you said, you've used so many continues, you want to drop this down to this mode where you're cursed or whatever. No, I want to keep playing the way I'm doing it.
Right.
And part of the reason they've done that is there's actually something like 12 different endings to this game based on how you perform on the way. So like how quickly you go through the game, if you're on easy mode, if you're on hard mode, regular mode, there's all these different factors that go into it. So even though I've rolled credits in the game, I don't feel like I beat it because I didn't play it through legit. And honestly, I don't want to just go through and replay the levels and then try to get them all in one run.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
that just seems more work than I want to do for the game. So I'm complaining like crazy about this game, but if that weren't there, this game is still fantastic.
So if they were to patch in that it just asks you, then it would fix all of your problems with the game.
Correct.
Yeah.
I actually contacted my contact for this game and said, "Hey, did I miss something? Is there a way I can do this?" And they confirmed that no, this is locked in. Like once you have that, you would have to create a new save file to remove that curse. Which is just so bizarre to me.
Deeply frustrating,
I guess it does kind of give the game some legs, but the problem is it's going to be a very select few people like Mr. Scott Clark, who's like, I don't like the fact that my character looks like this. I'm going to delete my save file and play it again.
Well, I don't care what he looks like. I care that the game is too easy. Like I want to be punished.
Well, and the legs it's being given are, is through being forced and kind of a
practice mode.
Yeah, kind of like an uncomfortable way.
I'm just surprised that at the beginning it doesn't have a just, would you like this?
Right.
Or do you just want to go full bore?
Dude, I searched through the settings. I'm like, there's got to be a way to turn this off or flip this back to normal. And again, I looked at the press material and it was, you got to create a new save file and start from scratch every time. So what they want you to do is they want you to practice each level individually, get good enough that you've got all 5 levels memorized, and then go through and play through the game that way. Which I love Volgarr. I have patience for Volgarr, but not that much patience.
I love Volgarr, just not that much.
So, but the game itself is a ton of fun. It is very rewarding when you get through levels, at least as long as you do it without this cursed mode or whatever on, because it just feels like you cheated. It feels like a cheat that I didn't ask for. So like the last 3 levels of the game, I don't like I say I breezed through them because they're still a challenge. It didn't feel as satisfying as just getting through it. I'm not going to get through the game on one or 2 credits. You know what I mean? Like I'm not going to memorize it that much. I mean, I'm 44, 45 years old. I'm not going to memorize that much.
Well, you got other games to play, and I understand.
Yeah. So I enjoyed it. I seriously hope that they patch that, because if they do, I would run through the game again. But I'm not gonna take the time to get that good at the game to speed run this game more or less, or perfect run this game the way that the game kind of wants you to do. So. Volgarr the Viking, I played it on Xbox, but it is also available on PlayStation, Switch, and PC. Developer is Crazy Viking Studios, published by Digital Eclipse, and was provided to us by Uber Strategist. Now, Zach, you have been playing a game that I am super intrigued to hear about. It is called Clickholding.
Careful how you pronounce it. You don't want to slip up and get us an explicit tag.
Yeah, because don't they do that in the game? Like they put the L and the I really close together.
100%. Yep.
Kind of like logo. What's that movie? The political movie with Reese Witherspoon and Matthew Broderick, where like his last name is Flick.
Election.
And they make Election, and they make buttons that say Pick Flick.
Oh.
And the L and the I are very close together, so it looks like something else.
Wow, this is a specific reference, Scott.
Yeah. Anyway, so tell me about Clickholding, because tell me about the mechanics of Clickholding.
Well, the mechanics are pretty in depth in Clickholding. You click this button, so that's the game. So the game is you're in a motel room with a gentleman with a very strange mask, and he wants you to click this button in front of him, and he's going to give you $14,000 to do it because that's how much I need for an operation. And then that's kind of the game. It's only like a 45-minute game.
Mm-hmm.
And it is you're clicking this button over and over. You need to get it to 10,000. So you need to click 10,000 times. But as you're clicking it, he's going to make requests of you because he's trying to achieve something.
You have a look in your face like he wants something very dirty.
He's trying to reach the climax of his journey.
Mm-hmm.
While you're clicking your button. And so he'll ask things like, "Oh, it's getting too hot in here. Go turn on the air conditioning." Or, "Oh, why don't you click on the other side of the bed and stare at me? That's better. That feels right. Keep clicking." So you're just clicking the button, listening to this man, and learning, I guess, his particularities throughout this adventure, and it culminates in a interesting payoff. I don't want to give anything away. Not that kind of payoff. Don't be dirty. And
in an unexpected way.
Yes, and then there's another thing you can do after the credits. I don't know, no spoilers, but just keep clicking, and you'll discover some things. But that's the game. It's just $3. It's kind of like a little artistic experiment, and it's from the developer of El Paso Elsewhere. Which
that's why it flagged you.
That's why it flagged me, yeah. But then the setup was so creepy that I had to check it out because it is definitely. I guess I learned the dangers of sex work in some way because it definitely felt dangerous at points for you in the room.
Dude, I'm so curious now. Like, I'm genuinely like, I want to know what is going on with this story.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely worth the price of a king size Snickers to check this out. In my Snickers economy.
Wait a minute, are king size Snickers $3 now?
That's regular Snickers $2 now. At least where I'm at. I'm in.
Oh my goodness,
in the city, obviously, but yeah, it's definitely worth checking out. You've never played anything like it, I promise you. And it is a journey. I definitely just do it in one sitting. Knock it out. Just set aside an hour for yourself, and just see where the click takes you.
Now you play this on Steam Deck,
right?
When you say clicking, did you actually press a button, or are you tapping the screen?
Oh, I didn't even think about tapping the screen. I use so you can use the right trigger as a mouse. This is like just booting it up. I didn't change any settings or anything, and it worked fine. But you can use you can hold down the trigger, and it'll just kind of keep clicking at a pace for you. But if you want to click fast, I just kind of use the trackpad because you know how it's so sensitive to touch or whatever.
Yeah,
and I would just roll my thumb back and forth.
Gotcha.
And it would click it so fast. Like a few times, the guy's like, "Hey, slow down, don't click that fast." So
slower.
Yes, dude. Yes. that there's absolutely a few for it. He's like slower, and that's not slow enough. Slower. Yeah.
Oh my god, this sounds so creepy, man.
Dude, it's definitely creepy. And as long as you're in for a uniquely unsettling experience, this is a high recommendation because it's just so unique. It plays with the video game as an art form in a very interesting way. So definitely recommend.
I'm intrigued, man.
For the price alone, you should check it out. It's it's a good time.
Again, that is called Clickholding, all one word.
Yeah, don't be
for $3, man. I think my curiosity is piqued enough.
Don't be a clickold. Yeah.
All right, Scott. Well, yeah,
it's hard to come down after a ride like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it is. So you've been playing a game called Arranger on iOS, which makes me feel like I'm 4 years old again, playing with those little slide puzzles.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing: is I almost bought this game because this is like on Switch, and I think it's only on Switch, Switch and PC. But lo and behold, thanks to DLC podcast that informed me that this game is available on Netflix. So because I'm a Netflix subscriber, I can play this game without paying anything extra on my phone. So that, shout out to Netflix for letting me try this game out for free.
Right.
But CB is absolutely right. You remember the sliding puzzles from like when we were kids, the little plastic ones that has like one hole missing, and you got to like kind of slide them around either to put the numbers in order or to put a picture in order. Imagine that, but you're playing an RPG. So you're moving your character around a screen, and everything in the environment is in one of those vertical or horizontal rows. And whenever you move, everything in your row also moves in the same direction you're going. And if it hits the end of a row, it winds up coming up on the back row behind it. It sounds insane, but what they've put together here is really, really clever. You have to attack some enemies by using, you don't carry a sword, so there are swords in the environment that you have to navigate to the head of the monster that you have to kill. There are things that get in the way and won't let you pass, so you have to like figure out a way to get around it. It is a genuinely clever game that I love, but I'm also enormously frustrated with because each solution is so well made that there's only one way to solve it. There's only one thing that you can do for all the puzzles I came across anyway. It's not like there's multiple solutions and like on finagle something like, no, you have to figure out what the developers wanted you to do to solve these puzzles. It is worth checking out, especially if you already have a Netflix subscription and you can get on your phone at no extra cost. But even if you want to pay the $14 or $15 or $20 to check this one out, I think it's worth a go. I'm really enjoying it. I actually have to want to get back into it tonight after we're done recording before I go to bed. And the writing is charming. Like, the opening puzzles have you like going around town, and you're leaving town, and you have to find a place. You have to find someone to donate your clothes to, because the person that you're living with won't let you keep them in the house anymore. So like that's like how they do like the tutorial deal, to go around town and find people, and then navigate their houses like a little labyrinths or dungeons. And it's cute, and the writing is charming. Like it's just very upbeat and positive. There's a bully that kind of talks down to you, but it's so like over the top. It just seems very silly and not at all harmful. I don't know. A Ranger. I highly recommend checking it out. Oh, it's on PS5 as well too, so you can
check this one out because I like those kind of puzzles.
Yeah. Do you have Netflix?
Yeah.
There you go, man.
It's right here in front of me on my phone.
Yeah, even easier, man. So I have not played hours and hours and hours of it, but it works great on the phone because all you got to do is slide left, right, up, down, and you can actually like when you slide up, like if you want to move multiple places in one direction, you can kind of just hold it up at the top of the screen to move. It's very slick in that case. So, what's the developer of that one? Furniture and Mattress LLC. Is that really the developer's name?
That's what the Steam page said.
That's
kind of brilliant.
It is kind of brilliant. So yeah, I dug that one quite a bit.
Well, I guess you've both been playing Aero the Acrobat as well on Xbox. This is this a new game or is this a return of something old? Because it's
a return.
Okay, I was gonna say, was it originally a
Super
Genesis?
Nintendo?
No, Super Nintendo. Okay,
and Genesis.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Aero the Acrobat 1 and 2 were both on Super. I don't know if 2 was on Genesis.
Either way, I got Genesis vibes from this game. Kind of
yeah.
little Sonic energy going on here, perhaps?
Yeah.
I got that notion a little bit because like when you run in a direction, he starts speeding up and speeding up and speeding up. So
okay.
Yeah, 2D, side-scrolling, platformer. You play as, is he a bat?
Yes, he's a bat.
He's an acrobat, Scott.
And
I thought you were a teacher.
It's all like circus themed. There's circus music playing out in the background. There's trampolines.
Acrobat.
Yeah. So I'll let you describe it, CB, because I have thoughts.
Yeah, it's very childish. It's very much a product of its time.
So kind of a simpler platformer then?
It's
maybe not.
It's pretty brutal.
It's not easy.
Yeah, it's brutal at times.
Well, the game doesn't give you any. I've never played it before, so this is the first time I've played it. It doesn't give you any inkling of what you're supposed to do. So you know how when you start a game you've never played before and don't know how to do it, you just kind of mess around with the buttons at the beginning to figure it out. Well, then all of a sudden there's a timer on the screen. So now I feel like I got this pressure.
Let's say you're probably drenched in sweat immediately, Scott.
Jump on these platforms.
Honestly, it doesn't matter. Like even the time, it doesn't do the Mario thing where if the time runs out, you die. It just has to do with your final score at the end of the level. So it truly does not matter.
Sweet.
So
relief.
what this game does different from your typical platformer is it's not like you're trying to get to an end goal on every level. You know, there are things you're supposed to find in the environment. Like, find these 5 keys to unlock and save somebody, or collect these star things or something. Jump on these platforms, a certain number of platforms. So the levels aren't just linear. They actually have like back and forth and verticality and things like that. But man, some of the enemies are annoying because you can't just jump on their heads like you can in a Mario game.
The slide clowns.
The slide clowns. Oh my god, I hate those things. There's no good timing to get those things. So like your only attack is to like jump in the air and then dive at a diagonal angle down towards them. At least unless there's something I haven't figured out.
You can shoot them.
What?
Why didn't you tell him this earlier?
You can shoot? How do you shoot?
So you know the stars that you collect?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can use those as bullets.
Oh my god. That
does Aero
I'm going to go back and play this game some more, apparently.
Does Aero have a Glock that he loads up with stars, or?
Well, he like throws the stars.
Okay, got it.
So like, I was wondering if there was going to be certain things that you missed with this one, because again, this is a game that, like I said, is a product of its time. If you didn't have the manual that came with this,
yeah,
or didn't read the manual that is in the game,
I didn't. I looked in the button configuration and I did not see anything about.
I know. I had to look it up online to find it, but like there's certain things that you can do. Like you don't only just dive down, you can also dive up at an angle.
I did figure that out because that's how you actually get to some of the higher areas.
Or that stupid cannon, figuring out that you can move it for the first time.
Oh yeah, and the game is just mean. And there's like a cannon that you get into and you shoot up and it just runs you into spikes and you can't see the spikes. You have no idea what you're supposed to be going for.
Yeah, it is very much a figure it out as you go game if you do not have a manual.
Yeah.
Because I would have loved to sit there and watch Scott keep playing this and eventually accidentally hit like the button and you're like, when could I shoot?
Yeah. I'm going to go
because
back.
Because you can't shoot until you collect some of those stars. But if you die and go back to the area, like the checkpoint area, you lose your stars.
Oh my god! So I got to ask
and it has
you,
a moving checkpoint system.
Moving checkpoint.
So like the poles that you can hit to checkpoint.
Yeah.
If you hit one and you go to the other side of the level and you hit the other one, and you're like, okay, I got to go back to the other side of the level, but I don't want to hit the checkpoint again, and the checkpoint will resave to the other one.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I know what you mean now. I will say that this game does something that I would not have expected from a 16-bit era game, is that when you die, it doesn't do like a fade to black and then bring you back up. It just kind of like
the checkpoint.
Straight back to the checkpoint.
A little Super Meat Boy energy.
Yeah, and not quite as quick, but yeah, it felt very like, wow, this felt a little ahead of its time.
That's cool because I love that because it keeps you in the game, you know?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. But it can also be super frustrating because if you keep to get certain bonus points, you have to jump through these hoops that are on fire. If you mistime it just barely and just barely graze it, instant death. So if your timing is off and you get frustrated, you're like, back to the checkpoint, go back forward, jump through the hoop, hit it again, go back to the checkpoint. You can.
That's the lesson, right?
The game has very much got a rhythm to it.
And then and you got 5 lives, and if you die, it's over. It's like the whole level's done, and then there's only 3 continues for the whole game.
And it continues. Doesn't matter how far you go back to level 1.
Back to the very beginning of the game.
Wow.
So yeah. Again, lots of memorization, which
very,
apparently I love.
They maintain the old school feeling of this one, huh?
Yeah.
It is definitely a mid SNES era release. Like, it is brutal, but if you memorize it, like, you could, the first level, like, I ran through it real quick.
Yeah, first one's fine.
But I'm like, I even knew, like, I'm like, ooh, star platforms, boop 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 boop, go through. Did you get up to the upper left corner?
I did, yeah.
Okay, because that's a fun one to find where the extra 1-up is.
Mm-hmm.
So,
but it just seemed like a random one to bring back, though, like just out of left field. Like who was asking for this?
Yeah, it's definitely an odd choice to bring back, but I also love the fact that, like, each level is not the same goal. Like, the first level, you're like, this is the goal for this level. The next level, it's like, no, we're gonna rescue this person. Then the next level is like, okay, no, we're gonna go and back to the first one, and so it changes up the formula over and over.
I mean, to be fair, it's still like, get to these number of points in this level.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
I love the turnstiles too.
Yeah,
like, I can only go through the level this way, and I can't go back, so I have to go up and around to go through again.
So as far as recommendations, I'm going to say if you have nostalgia for this game, it's nice to have it on a modern platform. Or if you have nostalgia for
platformers,
tough platformers. I mean, dude, the controls are clunky. I'm sorry.
They're slippery.
I mean, I'm so used to Mario and I've been spoiled by, Zack mentioned Super Meat Boy and even other platformers, more modern platformers. Like, this just feels like very much a product of its time.
Yes.
I'm not loving it, but I am going to jump back into it a little bit more, play some more before I write the full review, because I feel like I haven't given it a fair shot, but I was very frustrated in that first world, for sure.
Because the slidey clown.
Dude, now that I know I can shoot him.
Oh, by the way, he can block your shot, so you have to time it right.
Oh my God.
And later on, later on, when you run into him in later levels, he shoots back.
Oh, great.
See,
Great.
I do love that everything has a chance of getting resurrected these days, Aero the Acrobat, we got Star Wars Bounty Hunter just a couple weeks ago. It's nice. Slowly but surely, we'll get everything. Except for Panzer Dragoon Saga, obviously, because they don't have a way to do that. But
man,
they do. They just don't want to take the time and effort.
You're right. Absolutely.
I feel like that game would sell pretty well if they did, but
I feel like it would sell better today than it did originally.
I would agree with you wholeheartedly.
Just due to the importance it has in history.
Notoriety.
Yeah.
I mean, if Limited Run Games is remaking 3DO games,
right?
Yeah.
I guarantee you,
Night Trap,
bringing Gex back.
They just did Plumbers Don't Wear Ties.
Yeah,
of all the games to bring back,
and actually released it on the 3DO.
Crazy.
It's good to know that Plumbers Don't Wear Ties has more respect than Soul Reaver.
And Panzer Dragoon Saga.
Anyway, Aero the Acrobat I played on Xbox, but it is also available on PlayStation and Switch. It was developed by Shinyuden and published by Ratalaika Games and provided to us by PR Hound. All right, before we move on, you'll notice that Alyssa was not here with us this week. She is not feeling well, but she did stop by to talk to CB about a couple games that she's been playing. So we're going to play that for you right now.
All right, this is Chris here, talking with the wonderful Alyssa.
Oh, thank you. I've missed you, by the way.
I know. I've been around, just hiding.
Yeah. So
in the
now
weeds.
It's my turn to hide, so we're swapping places.
Yep, it happens.
Yeah.
So you've been playing a couple new games for us.
I have.
First off, a game that kind of looks like it'd be very much in my wheelhouse, but Shift 87.
Yes.
So, judging from the trailers, it looks like you're working a weird shift and hunting anomalies.
Pretty much. So you're an employee for the Norn Corporation, and you just know that something weird has gone on previously. So your task is you have to go through 3 separate areas in this building and search for anomalies. And that's all you do. So you get, well, technically you get 7 laps, but 6 to capture anomalies. The first lap, you observe your entire surroundings, which you don't have that big of a surrounding each time. But you have to pay attention to everything. And then after that, the loop starts. So you go through, there's 1 anomaly per loop. And it could be something as simple as something changed colors, or it could be like, there's a ghostly little girl staring at the wall. Like, it could be something like that. So you really have to pay close attention sometimes. And if you report an inaccurate anomaly or don't report any at all, the loop starts over again. So even if you're on the sixth loop of the loop, which is, yeah, weird, you start back at 0. So you're going to do it a minimum of 7 times of going through the one specific workplace before you move on to the next one.
All right. So strange question. No, like you said, the Norn Corporation, Norn.
They don't give you much background information in the game, so I don't really know why it's named that or anything.
It's weird that they chose that name because those are Norse deities.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize that. So
yeah,
apparently it helps probably if you do the research before playing this game for anyone listening.
Yeah, I'm just like, okay, that's kind of a cool like choice of words, because like they're very much like Germanic or like Viking deities.
Yeah, I did not realize that, so that does make it cooler.
Okay. So for the most part though, like you're walking through finding anomalies. But so I mean, it definitely does feel like it has a very much horror element in a sense to it. And like super creepy, or like is it just basic controls, or like how
I
do
mean,
you just like point your little thing at them, Ghostbuster style?
It's very basic controls. I mean, it's pretty much walking simulator style controls. You're just walking, you push. I was playing on Steam Deck, so you'd push the B button to report an anomaly, and you can only report 1 anomaly per loop through the environment. To me, it wasn't that scary, but I think that depends on your tolerance for horror, because these really rely on more of the jump scare kind of horrors, or scares, not horrors.
So cheap thrills.
To me, yes, and I didn't actually jump at any of them, but some people might, so it just depends on tolerance and all of that. But I mean, you can go up to, like, say, the ghostly girl staring at the wall. She's not going to do anything to you. You just report her. Yeah. So there's no risk of dying or anything in this game. You just restart the loop if you mess up.
That makes me a little sad.
Yeah.
Because like when I was watching the trailer and I saw the little girl, like my brain immediately jumped to like fear.
Oh yeah, with Alma, yeah.
Yeah, so I was just like, oh man, like this could be kind of cool.
Yeah, that was something that I was a little disappointed with, that nothing happens to put you in peril. But I'm sure some people would love that, like not have to worry about that, just, do the loop. And the anomalies are procedurally generated, so you do have to play this game multiple times to find all 66.
Okay.
I found about half of them through 2 playthroughs. But I mean, it does get very repetitive very quickly, because you are going through the same environments over and over again, especially if you mess up. And you have to restart from the beginning of that environment.
Okay. So like about how long does a single playthrough take?
Oh, it took me about 30 minutes per playthrough, so I mean, not long at all.
Okay. So this is just kind of a little quick little game. Is it available on anything other than PC?
To my knowledge, it's only available on PC right now. Maybe they'll port it to consoles later, but I'm not sure.
Okay. All right. So that was Shift 87, which was the developers Pixel Split.
Pixel Split.
Pixel Split. It'd be cool if it was Pixel Spit.
Yeah, it would be.
But Pixel Split, publisher was Daedalic Entertainment and Press Engine.
Yeah, they just sent me a code for it.
So
thank you, President.
awesome. Thank you. So on top of that, you've been playing another game, which definitely seems very much in your wheelhouse.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Vampire Therapist, which seems to be a visual novel about being I'm willing to bet, a therapist for vampires.
You are correct, but you yourself are also a vampire cowboy therapist. So, yeah, it's a little bit of a, you wouldn't think of that combination, but it works for this character. This game is awesome. Like, it is visual novel-esque, but you do have to have some interactive elements at points. But you're playing as Sam Wells, who is a vampire that's also a cowboy, and he just has moved to Germany, I believe is the country, and he decides to become a therapist there, and he works at a nightclub, because, obviously vampires can't go out in the day, and your clients are vampires. So you're helping them. There are 4 different clients, and they all have different things they're going through, yeah, and you have multiple sessions with them. I still haven't finished the game, by the way, but, yeah, it's really interesting and funny and wonderful, and it was made by such a small development team, and I am blown away by how polished this is and how wonderful this game is. Like, it's seriously one of my favorites I've played this year so far.
Okay. I mean, it definitely seems a little different than your standard visual novel, because like it does seem like there's a little bit of like mini games attached to this as well.
There are. I do have to say, one mini game I still have not got the hang of, the meditation mini game, because it tells you to put A on the Steam Deck to do the breathing, and then you're supposed to target thoughts. But I do that, and when I target the thoughts, nothing happens until about, I don't know, 15 minutes later, which with meditation, that's how long you would meditate for. I don't know if that is the way it's supposed to happen, or if I'm just not getting the instructions, but I'm just like, this is taking so long.
Okay. Yeah, because that would definitely, it does seem like there might be a loss in translation with the controls there, because if I'm just going to sit there and stare at some words for 15 minutes,
yeah,
I would get severely bored.
That's the only thing I'm not crazy about this game, but again, I could be messing the controls up, or it could, be trying to emulate actual meditation where you have thoughts pop up in your head and you're supposed to eliminate them and then do the deep breathing.
Okay, some interesting take on it, I guess.
Yeah. I don't know which is which, though. I could be messing it up. So, there is also a mini game where it's super simple, where you have to bite the necks of people occasionally to drink their blood. You just have to aim correctly on a vein, and then it doesn't show you actually doing anything. It cuts to after.
It was kind of funny to see the, like, also in the trailer, like, you just see the fangs, like, moving back and forth, and I'm like, okay, so that's a timing mini game.
I mean, it's super easy. It's really difficult to mess that one up.
One of the things that immediately caught my eye was I love when games do this, but they embedded old movies,
yes,
or like TV shows in there, and I was like, oh, that's the Three Stooges.
Yeah, they have Three Stooges. They have some Charlie Chaplin in there. And you don't even have to watch the TV. You can choose to read a book, which he'll read like a passage from Emerson or Whitman or something. But I'm like, sometimes I want to see the Three Stooges or Betty Boop or Charlie Chaplin.
Oh, gotta love public access TV, like where they can just like, oh yeah, I can use this without having to get the rights. I love when games do that though, because it's just that like little edited extra like layer of ambiance into something.
Especially this really old vampire just, chilling in his high-tech coffin watching TV.
Oh, so that's in the coffin is where the TV is.
Yeah, that's where he goes after he has his sessions with his clients and he goes to relax.
Just see this like vampire laying in a coffin, like turning his head to the side, just being like, oh, I gotta see the TV at my feet.
No, the TV is like straight ahead, so he doesn't even have to turn his head. This is a luxury coffin that is provided to him by the owner of the nightclub.
God, that's still funny to think. Like, let me just sit in this box and like read TV and read books and watch TV while I'm inside this little box.
Yeah. I mean, he's a vampire. He loves coffins.
Okay. Overall, how's the story?
It's really interesting. They said they consulted with actual therapists for input into it, and each of the 4 clients, like I said, has a different battle they're going through, and you have to help them through it. But of course, that takes multiple sessions, and to do that, you have to find in their speech some cognitive distortions, which it teaches you about that in the game. And you start out with 5, and then it slowly adds more in. And at a certain point, you choose which 5 you want to have available for each client after you've gotten to know them a little bit.
Okay.
So then when they say something, it'll tell you like when you're about to have to select which cognitive distortion it is, but you have to call them out on it.
Okay. I'm guessing that the problems are like, hopefully they're not like horrible like vampire tropes. Be like, oh, I'm a vampire, but I'm afraid of blood.
No. There's one vampire that, is a content creator, and she's, worried about her audience, and another one is a super old lady vampire from way back when who thinks art today is horrible.
Okay, so regular people problems just imposed on vampires.
Yeah. Pretty much,
Wonderful.
yes.
Okay. So at least they went that route instead of the usual, like, I don't want to be a vampire anymore.
Yeah, none of them ever actually act like they don't want to be a vampire yet. I've played a good chunk of this game, so I don't think they're going to go into that route of, oh, I hate being a vampire.
Okay.
They're very much like, take pride in being a vampire. You get to live forever.
Yeah,
Which, yeah, when you think about it,
that has
pros
its
and
own set of
cons.
problems.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, I might have to look a little more into that because I love games that, like I said, do had those little layers of ambiance to it. So
I do have to say the humor in this is amazing, and I can't actually say any of the jokes they put in there because it's not appropriate for this podcast. Very adult humor, and it always shocks the therapist, and that just makes it funnier. Like, the clients will say something, and the therapist is like, oh, I didn't intend it that way. And he sounds like Ted Lasso, and that's just comforting in itself.
And it's still a TV show I've never watched.
Oh, it's so good. But the therapist, he just sounds comforting because of that accent, and the game is fully voice acted, so that also adds an extra layer because you get to hear the emotions and get to really know the characters better through their vocals. There we go.
Okay. So yeah, it definitely seems like there's been a lot of love and work and put into this instead of just another like slammed out visual novel.
Oh, for sure. Like, I can tell there's been a lot of love and care put in this, and it's really high quality.
Okay. Well, I will definitely have to mark that now that I've been using Steam more. So, but yeah, developed and published by Little Bad Games,
Which is an appropriate name also for this game.
Yes, very appropriate. And then thank you, 1UP PR, for providing us with a code for this.
Thank you.
Let's go ahead and move on. I mentioned Facebook earlier. We got some new members over there: Samantha Castro, Nate Kremitsky, and Jackie Honigford. That's Kevin's wife. And Nate is a good buddy of his too. Actually, his niece was in my class last year. Also over on Discord, I mentioned the link is in the show notes. If you'd like to join over there, we would appreciate it. Also, drop us a review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to the shows. And lastly, check out our website, thegamingoutsider.com. There you can listen to all of our episodes. You can find a link for our Patreon episodes if you want to catalog to that. And also our written reviews, including Zack's review of Star Wars Bounty Hunter, Alyssa's review of Shift 87, which you just heard about, and also my review of House of Golf 2. With that, let's go ahead and jump into our From the Outside In topic. It's been too long since we've done community questions, and I'm glad we've gotten back to it. If you're not familiar, this is our monthly From the Outside In topic where we ask our community on Facebook, Discord, and Twitter for video game related questions that we can answer and use for fun discussion on this episode. Zach, why don't you kick things off over with our comments on Facebook?
Sure. Sean McGuire writes in, tell me a game that you wish you'd played as a young person but never did. For example, I never played Zelda as a kid, but I wish I did. I got to play as an adult, but not the original. as a kid.
Aero the Acrobat.
Yeah, you wish
Probably would have.
you would have liked it more.
Maybe. I'm gonna give that game another fair shot. What about you? I'll have another answer, but CB, I'm gonna let you go.
I plead the fifth.
You played because you played everything.
No. Because I'm gonna catch a lot of crap for this, but Metroid,
Oh, the original Metroid.
Super Metroid.
Oh man,
It was something I never played at the time.
So have you never played them, or do you just wish you had played it while younger?
I've never played them. I've never gotten around to it. And back in the day, Chrono Trigger.
oh wow.
Growing up, I didn't have access to all those, and so
Dude, I'm kind of envious that you actually can play those games for the first time, man. You've got Nintendo Switch Online. You should go.
dude, if I'm gonna play it, I'm gonna play it on original hardware.
Okay, so do it.
But it's games like that. I feel because they have that certain air about them.
Mm-hmm.
Where like I want to sit down and be like, okay, I don't want anything else on my plate. I just want to sit down and focus on this. But it's been so busy that every year, I feel like I just keep getting more and more busy
Mm-hmm.
that I don't have the time to do that.
Okay.
And so it always feels bad because those are the kind of games I want the same ambiance that I had when I was a kid, where I can sit there with a friend and play them. And
Oh,
just
dude, I used to sit and play Super Metroid with my friend Roy, who would always pester me to search. You get a search beam in that game that reveals hidden objects. And every room, he'd be like, dude, search that corner over there, search that corner. He loved to sit and watch me play that game.
And see that's where I feel that some of those games that I never had the chance to, I remember watching you play through Night Trap for one of the first times.
Mm-hmm.
Sitting there and I'm like, okay. And because I know it's coming, you don't. So it's always more fun to experience those games that you never got to do.
Why don't we get
with
together
somebody
and do
who
that?
has.
Do it.
I've been saying that for over a year.
All right, we're gonna get together soon, and I'm gonna sit and watch you play Super Metroid.
Sounds good. Because then if I get stuck, I can go past the controller.
Actually, wait a minute, Zach. What do you think? Should we have him start with Super Metroid, or should we have him start with Zero Mission?
Well, I think Zero Mission's the best Metroid, so I would say start there.
It's pretty good. I like Super Metroid better.
No, I know. I was saying it, therefore it's my opinion. Super Metroid probably is still the best place to start, right? That feels right.
It's the most accessible. Well, I mean, Zero Mission's pretty accessible.
I would say Zero Mission.
Now,
But Zero Mission, if I'm going to play it, I'm going to have to dig out the Game Boy Advance player with the GameCube.
Don't you have it on that little new doohickey thing you got?
Yes, I do, but it's not nearly as fun when I can watch it on a bigger screen.
All right, fine. Just have him play Super Metroid.
Okay, yeah, we're just gonna do Super Metroid, but he's not gonna know the back. I mean, I guess they tell the story.
I don't think the story is that important,
dude. There's something cool about coming back.
Yeah.
Remember the beginning of that game? When I was a kid,
I understand.
That was cool seeing stuff that you had seen from the previous game. That was quite awesome.
It's like treading back onto the USG Ishimura in Dead Space 2.
Yes. Yeah, that's actually a really good comparison. What about you, Zach? Any you wish you had played as a kid?
Well, we've talked about a lot on this episode, but I really wish I had played Soul Reaver as they were coming out. I just feel like everything I've heard about them just feels like they would have been ingrained as one of those fond franchises if I had played it at the right time. That would have been nice. I wish I'd played The Longest Journey before I played Dreamfall. Because I don't think I played Longest Journey, which is the first in that series. I don't think I played that until 8 years after I played Dreamfall, and at that point it was it was like an old school style point and click adventure, a little bit of an acquired taste, that genre. I don't dislike them, but it's hard for me to play those in long stretches. And Dreamfall I thought was just such an evolution of it. It was hard for me to appreciate the first game, so I kind of wish I had played it when I was younger and played it first. Because I feel like when you're younger, you have such a larger patience for things that bother you.
Oh yeah.
So I kind of I wish I had played that when I was younger.
Nice. I have a few. The first two are shmups, so CB will appreciate this. But I was a sucker for marketing when I was a kid. If I saw, trailers were like a rarity when we're, in the 16-bit era, right? Or at the 32-bit era, even when they really started kind of coming. But two shmups that I wish I had played when I was a kid that I never have. The first is on PS1 and it's called Philosoma. Do you remember that game?
Yeah.
It was so early. It was like the long box PlayStation 1 games.
Oh, wow.
Before they started doing the jewel cases.
Yeah.
But I remember watching that commercial. And
I might own it.
Do you really?
He might.
I might. Because I'm sitting here going through my long boxes in my head, like.
I just remember watching that commercial as a kid, and it was it was a shmup. Actually, it was a shmacross, and but just the trailer was. It probably looks like crap now. I want to go back up and watch that trailer after we're done here. But at the end, the way the guy says the name of the game at the end, he just goes, "Philosoma," and it just sounded so cool. So that was one, and the other one, just because the box art is one of the best box arts I've ever seen for a game that doesn't make any sense for what it is, and that's Phalanx on the Super Nintendo.
The banjo guy?
Old banjo man?
Old dude playing the banjo, and I'm like, I used to sit and stare at that box at the video store over and over again, and I never pulled the trigger on renting it because, I was a kid. I'm like, oh, it's not going to be as interesting as that box. It's
some old man game.
Yeah. So I never pulled the trigger, but I totally wish I had. So that one, and then there's countless JRPGs. I've never played. God, Breath of Fire, is that what it's called? Where the guy's doing like the hand thing on the front cover.
Yeah.
I always wish I had played Breath of Fire. Lufia 1 and 2, I've never played. There's just so many JRPGs. Even the Final Fantasy games. Again, I wasn't allowed to, so I missed out on 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. The first one I really played was 3.
You never went back?
I didn't, and dude, I have been so close to pulling the trigger on the Switch collection of the originals.
Yeah.
But I'm like, well, if I'm gonna do that, I'm gonna go play Brandon's. You know what I mean? I'm gonna go play.
Well, I've never played through Final Fantasy IV either. We could do it together sometime.
Why 4?
Because it's very story heavy. That was the first like majorly story heavy one.
Oh, dude, you're intriguing me now, man. We could.
That'd be really fun.
I'd have to but were Final Fantasies as long as they are now back then?
No. They're like 25 hours on the high end, right?
If if you do every single thing.
Yeah, they're pretty achievable. I know of a lot of what happens in 4, and I've played some of it, but I've never actually like gone all the way through it myself. I don't know. It would be nice to have an excuse to do so.
Well, yeah, that, or we could, finish the second half of Final Fantasy 3.
Oh, you mean 6?
6, yeah. We could do that too.
That would be, that'd be interesting.
I watched it. Did you watch I texted you a video on like the making of Final Fantasy 6?
Yeah.
Did you ever watch that?
Did you text that to me like years ago?
No, it was just like a couple weeks ago.
No. I don't remember this.
I was wondering why you didn't respond to it.
Yeah.
It was recommended on another show I listened to, and I was like, I watched that, and it's fascinating. It's just such an interesting look.
No, I'll go through our text to see if I see it, or you could send
it
to me again or whatever. I don't remember this at all.
Yeah, but it made me want to go back and go through and play that game again because that is some fine storytelling in that game.
Yeah,
it's just so good.
I sure like that first half.
Final Fantasy IV should take you about 20 hours to beat.
20 hours,
very doable.
Well, if I ever get through Evolution,
once I get through this Paper Mario thing,
yeah, and then we'll have to have Brandon on to talk about Final Fantasy IV for a retro.
I'm sure he's intimately familiar with it. Yes,
I'm sure he is. All right, let's go to the next question. I'm going to read this one. Sean Coates, which urban open world maps are your favorites or the best in terms of geographical accuracy and things to do? Or if it's a fictional map, how well did it capture the aesthetic and vibe of the real location that inspired it? For example, I'm replaying Watch Dogs Legion, and it perfectly captures London. I don't know that I've ever noticed. Well, you know what? Spider-Man 1?
Yeah.
2016 Spider-Man?
There's things in there that exist.
Like, weren't there even like park benches that were like in the right spots and things like that?
I mean, you
like,
can go to Battery Park.
yeah,
That's cool.
that's the one that comes to mind immediately. But wasn't Watch Dogs the first one like a recreation of Chicago?
Yeah, I was gonna say it was a lot of fun living in Chicago while Watch Dogs was coming out.
Yeah,
It felt pretty close. They legally they didn't get a lot of the names to some of the landmarks, but you knew what they were.
Yeah.
Right?
Instead of the bean, it was something else.
Yeah, stuff like that. But they were still represented, and yeah, I had a lot of fun.
Do they call it Cloud Gate?
I don't.
No. Instead of like a bean or like something that, it'd be like a very squared off object. It'd be like the square.
Yeah, stuff like that. But anyway, either way, I really enjoyed Watch Dogs for that reason. It felt like Chicago, 100%, which is all you could ask for.
And 2 was in San Francisco, right?
Yep.
Which I've been to, but I wouldn't recognize anything.
I think Giant Bomb went to their offices in their quick look of it, and the building was there.
Oh, they went to their own office?
Yeah, and the building was there.
Oh, that's cool.
That's pretty cool. I mean, in terms of fictional, I mean, it's hard not to say one of the Grand Theft Autos, like San Andreas has an incredible map, but we're Sleeping Dogs. That is a great map for
Sleeping Dogs. Yes.
Speaking of urban maps, that had a lot of that also has like a lot of like rooftop access, if I remember correctly.
Yep.
Yeah. So I'm gonna.
Speaking of games I wish I had played.
Sleeping Dogs. Oh, dude, you can jump into Sleeping Dogs at any point in time.
Yeah.
That game still stands.
All the DLC is great too.
Yeah.
Fallout 4.
3.
Yeah, but 4, I actually have pictures of some of the things in the game on my phone.
Oh, that's good.
Oh, yeah,
I mean,
'cause
those
you went
are.
to-
I guess they're technically urban, right? They're just a destroyed urban setting.
But like when you walk the Freedom Trail in Boston, where it has like the little square plaque and the little square bricks with the circular plaques in them, you can walk up to those in real life. They're right there.
And it says, and they say "as seen in Fallout 4" on them.
No, but I've walked up to some of those, like taking pictures of those, like specific areas like around that too. Granted, it's not to scale or Fenway Park.
Oh, that wouldn't be fun.
No, that game would be way more massive.
Yeah.
But yeah, those are fun. As far as fictional maps, Elite Dangerous.
He said urban.
Oh, come on.
Come on.
He said urban.
He specified.
Or if it's a fictional map.
He
did
said
say
but
that.
he said urban, right? Whatever.
Or if it's a fictional map.
I feel like
the sky.
I feel like you're following the letter of the law, but not the spirit right now.
Hey, I started with the softball pitch and then I went for the moon.
Yeah.
Crackdown? Crackdown was...
Oh, yeah, that was a cool urban map. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
I remember, wasn't there like an achievement to like jump from the top of the highest building? Remember that?
That sounds right. Oh, dude.
It was
Remember
like-
when they made that modern open world Assassin's Creed game starring Desmond that we were all hoping and dreaming for? That was
Yeah.
great. Love that.
Yeah, that was awesome.
What a dream come true.
Think of other urban ones.
City of Heroes.
Mafia? Saboteur.
Saboteur, yeah.
Yeah, that was great. Also,
Or L.A. Noire. L.A. Noire was kind of cool.
As bad as the game is, Assassin's Creed Unity. Because any of the Assassin's Creed games, walking around those cities is awesome.
I loved L.A. Noire's authenticity, but I didn't feel like it didn't beg to be explored.
No. I mean, it was very much like get in the car and fast travel instead of
Right.
like, all I did was like listen to the conversation. And once the conversation was over, why to fast travel?
Yeah, I remember scouring the city because I think it was badges for the hidden item in that game. And I remember I feel like I have this memory of like trying to work around the tar pits in LA to find some hidden badges like that. But
yep.
It I don't know. It was okay. But I mean I love the setting and driving around in it. It was just like didn't really give me motivation.
It's very boxy. Yeah. I like the city in Infamous where you could like grind on the subway rail. Remember that?
Of course. That was cool.
That felt awesome.
Sunset Overdrive.
There you go.
Yeah.
Another great choice.
Good one.
Any Jet Set Radio?
Yeah.
Pretty open.
Crazy Taxi.
How, I don't know. I guess it's technically, if you remove the timer, it would be open. That's true. I guess it's still technically open. You don't have to go where they tell you.
Yep.
Anyway.
All right, Zach, you want to take the next question?
I'm going to read a question.
Yeah, why don't we let CB read a question? How about that?
Oh, did I let you go? I'm sorry.
It's just so
I'm in the wrong order.
you should not be in
It's
here.
just like, oh, CB doesn't, like I said, on the third wheel.
It is.
Sorry.
It's just
Stomps on me when he can.
disrespectful.
Jesse
Santangelo?
Santangelo?
What was it, Santangelo?
Wow, my brain just went immediately to an Anchorman reference that I cannot say on this show.
It's a whale's anatomy.
No, I was thinking of the other one.
Oh, okay.
All right. Do you think that consoles will become obsolete and just be digital? PS9.
Well, say the next Xbox. they're doing their best to just make Game Pass their thing.
I'm going to say we have one more console generation in us, and then it will be all digital after that.
Not by choice.
I do not think it'll be that fast. That sounds like, because I've been hearing there's not going to be any disc drives since PS3. You know, like people always try to future doom. I think consoles will be here for longer than we think.
Consoles, yes. Physical, no.
Yeah. Yeah. I assume PS6 will have a disc drive, and I would assume that will be the last one. And even
it'll be a disc drive that you.
That's
can
what
put,
I just said.
No.
One more.
It'll be a disc drive.
Why do
it'll be a disc?
But I still think there will be a PS7. Scott, is what I'm saying.
Oh no, I think it'll just be it'll be a PS7 app on your smart TV.
I do not think that.
No.
Yeah.
Unless it's a Sony branded TV.
you have to buy a Sony TV to get the PS7 is exclusive to Sony TVs.
If people are going to pay $700 for a PS3, I think they'll be fine spending $700 for a smart TV that also has the app on it.
Famously, they didn't.
I mean,
the PS3 was it had a terrible launch. No one bought it.
And was it $700 or was it $600?
It was $600. $599 US. Our fans will be willing to get a second job to afford the console. I'll never forget it.
I think some form of console will always be there, just because they like the proprietary, like, this is our thing.
Right.
No,
it's
because the consoles are too expensive to make, and it's cheaper just to sell software. That's where they make their money.
But they make profit on the hardware now. It's not like it used to be. They're not loss leaders anymore. And PlayStation is in a Apple like seems to have formed an Apple like consumer base that will just buy everything and sell it out no matter what it is. Mm-hmm. So I think PlayStation's safe, and Nintendo will always have a console.
And
yeah, I mean, I think it was more of a scalper thing situation than it being a, Sony Nintendo branding thing. Although, like you said, Nintendo didn't. I mean, you couldn't get an Xbox Series X for a while.
But I'm saying like the PlayStation Portal sold out. Like I think anything.
Oh yeah.
Outside of PSVR, which was just insane to justify because it was the price of a console. Anything they put out there just sells out right away. Yeah. That's just where PlayStation's at now. And hey, good for them, I guess.
And we knocked about the PlayStation Portal. Like I've talked to two people that only two people I know that own one, and they love it.
Again, I think the Portal would be fine if it was cheaper. But for what it is now, I am confused why. Like your phone could do remote play, so I don't really.
Yeah,
I still don't really get it. Because you could just turn notifications off, and then you'd be good to go, right? It would just be a console. Anyway, doesn't matter. I'm happy people like the Portal. I would buy a Portal if it was cheaper.
Fair enough.
I will say, Scott, contrary to what you think that it's just going to go to all streaming all the time, once you start removing physical pieces from an actual console, like if they do go to an all streaming box, like removing the disk drive that separates like one of the hard drive and one of the motherboards from it, they become cheaper to make.
Yeah.
So I still think it'll be, because it'll be proprietary. They'll be like, as long as they're making something that they can make a buck off of, like they're gonna do it.
Okay.
And if you go into somebody's house and you just see a TV, there's no Xbox branding, no Xbox logo on it, having something physically that people can see and be like, that's Microsoft's Xbox. That's
a fair
Sony's PlayStation. Like that's going
Branding.
to drive sales.
Mhm.
So even if it's
hey,
just
you want
an
to come
empty
over and play?
box,
You want to come over and play TV with me?
yeah, it doesn't have the same ring, but even if it's literally just an empty box that connects to the internet and it's all server side, it's still something that's there to represent this is a Sony household or this is an Xbox household.
I don't know, man. I think that look at movie streaming. Like, hey, go watch this on Netflix. Go watch this on Hulu. Go watch this on Disney. Go
Well,
play
the problem
this
is
on
there's
PlayStation.
too many of them now that piss everybody off.
Right, and there's going to be 3.
Well,
There's still going to be 3.
well, they still make Blu-rays though, right? Like,
For now,
so I'm just saying,
Who's buying? Are you buying Blu-ray still?
I buy Blu-rays constantly. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I haven't bought a physical movie in at least 3 years.
Yeah,
it's because you are all aboard the I don't want to have to get up from my couch.
Yeah.
the convenience train, which many people are. But I think to CB's point, a lot of these streamers are making people upset. 4K and Blu-ray sales are up year over year. So I mean, it's just
Honestly, like ever since Target, Walmart, and Best Buy announced we're not making physical media anymore, people are going nuts for any media release right now.
right.
Because they think they're going to be valuable.
No,
No, it's not. No, it's the fact that stupid companies keep deciding, hey, we're not going to stream this right now, so we're going to remove it and you can't watch it.
I think it is more of the fear of losing the option than it is thinking they're valuable. I don't. If anybody's out there tricking themselves thinking Blu-rays are going to be worth something, I got a bridge to sell you.
but it's at any point in time, something can get deleted off of a streaming service and be in limbo for months on end,
Now,
and you can't watch it.
my point, Scott, of bringing up the Blu-ray originally was just that media that people say, "Oh, who does that anymore?" still kicks around. So I feel like the console box is still going to kick around for a while.
Yeah.
And it'll even be an option thing where, like, if you play it on your smart TV, it's a subscription, but if you buy the box, you get it up front or something like that. There'll be all those people like, I can't believe people still buy their consoles. That's ridiculous. But I think there will always be that market, or at least for
just like there's a market for vinyl.
exactly, yeah. Just these things
An
will
exploding market.
survive longer than you think. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, you can still get CDs for stuff. And who the
Here's
hell
the
is
thing,
listening to a CD?
I can walk into a Walmart right now, not find CDs, but I can find a half an aisle of vinyl.
Yeah,
Yeah.
crazy.
Nuts. Well, we guess we could find out, if we're still doing this podcast by the next generation of consoles. We just got to make it to 800 episodes, right, CB?
Don't,
Yeah, so you don't get slapped.
we don't have to make it there. Your face wants to make it there.
I gotta say, if they stopped doing physical games, I feel like my heart would be so broken. I don't know if I could keep doing podcasts, man.
Man, you'd somehow still survive though.
I think I would survive. I don't think I would have the passion for the industry that I do right now.
But at first, you'd be afraid,
Oh,
maybe petrified.
oh my god.
God, shut up.
Anyway,
Here's the problem, though.
Okay.
Even if they stopped making brand new games today,
right, we'd be set forever. I tell you what.
there's still going to be zero chance of you playing every single game ever made.
Yeah.
It's impossible. There's too many.
What's the point? What's your point on this though?
So that's what I'm saying. Like, you're worried, like, oh well, if they stop making physical games,
yeah.
there's still plenty.
Well, I used to say when they stopped making physical games, I'll stop playing games. I've grown more realistic. I'll still play them, but I don't think I'll be as passionate.
We checked the results, and that was in fact a lie.
I've grown, Scott. I've grown with my opinions. That's what you're supposed to do.
Maury Povich.
Supposed to get new information and adjust. All right.
Yeah, okay.
There will be, but I feel like I will buy a lot less games, no doubt, if they're not on disc.
I do find it funny. You don't collect games nearly as much as I do, Zach.
Right.
Scott does collect some games, but of the three of us, the one who is absolutely all on board for all digital is Scott.
Right.
I collect.
Like, I always figured it would be more Zach that would be all on board all day for digital.
No. My collecting was the NES. And that was a checklist. Somebody gave me a checklist and dared me to go
That's an
collect every
expensive
NES
dare.
game.
Hey,
Yeah.
Scott, you know there's more systems out there that you
No,
can
I've learned my
checklist.
lesson. I'm done, man. I'm not chasing
But
anymore.
checklist, like, but Scott, like,
Don't you want every Dreamcast?
don't you have that itch in the back of your head that
I really
says,
don't.
I
It's
could
gone,
check
dude.
all these? No, it's
I'm
there.
good now.
He's free.
I'm totally
there.
good.
You haven't finished PAL. There's the PAL games, Scott. You're not NES complete until you have all
Oh
the PAL
my
games.
god, Zach! I think it's appropriate that you read the next comment.
Sure. Brandon Smith writes in, this may sound like a dumb question, but I've been listening to the podcast forever, and I vaguely remember when Zack originally pitched the label of gear-gated game to refer to a certain genre, but I don't remember what the actual definition is. Could you please explain this one again? If I don't remember what it means, I'm sure new listeners might be a bit lost too. Yeah, this is my harebrained scheme to get rid of Metroidvania and replace it with gear-gated. It just means the same thing. It just means you get new items to unlock new areas of the map. It is because I hate the word Metroidvania. I hate it. It means nothing. It was lazily constructed. No effort put in whatsoever to naming that genre. Much like Souls-like and roguelike, also genres that just where was the creativity on this?
Shooty bang bangs.
Shooty bang bangs much better. I would much take that. Or even like what are they like? It seems like I get more and more emails referring to games as bullet heavens for Vampire Survivor style games, and I hate that. I hate it. But I've had 2 or 3 games refer to themselves now as bullet heavens. We got to get out ahead of that. We got to stop that.
Yeah, that makes me cringe. Like, I'm glad I've never heard that term before because I don't like it.
I also just feel like auto shooter is right there if you want like a simple, easy explanation.
Yeah,
not a sexy name,
fits.
but anyway.
That bothers me so much. Bullet heaven.
Next time I'll send you a screenshot of the next one I get.
No, I'll delete it immediately. That feels gross.
Delete my number.
Also, Brandon, I highly recommend you go check out a past episode we did a few months ago
Shooty bang bangs
called Renaming Genres, where we decided to come up with other names for genres that we didn't like the titles for.
Like a schmacross.
I laughed really hard in that episode, and it's he also explains gear gated in that as well too. I feel like it's catching on with some of our listeners. Like some people actually, like in Discord and stuff, will actually start with that. I just
I cannot remember now, but I straight up heard gear gated on a different, either a podcast or a YouTube video, and I paused it and rewound it and showed it to my partner immediately because I was like, "Is there a chance that this person listens to our show?" I'm just saying.
You should have contacted him. That'd have been
No,
interesting.
you're absolutely right.
Hey, this is copyrighted by the Gaming Outsider.
I was so overwhelmed with excitement at the time. It's not. I don't feel like it's an impossible thing to reach independently of me, but I just felt like maybe they're listening. I just Metroidvania means nothing. You say you're saying how new listeners might be confused, hearing gear gated, which is fair, but I feel like new video gamers might be like, "What the hell does Metroidvania mean?"
Mm-hmm.
Right. So if I feel like gear gated is like, I think that it gives you some picture of what the genre is.
Yeah, the game is gated by the gear that you acquire
right
along the way.
I think it makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Because Metroidvania, you got to explain what Metroid and Castlevania is and the history. Like, it's not clean. It's not good. Don't like.
Yeah, like what would you tell a kid, like kids from my classroom? I want to play this Metroidvania this weekend.
What?
They're gonna have a clue what I'm talking about.
Exactly. Yeah.
I'm gonna play this gear-gated game. Oh, it's a game where I can't progress until I acquire certain gear that unlocks the gate.
Appreciate my back, Scott.
Yeah,
appreciate you know where I'm coming from on this.
Yeah,
I think mostly your kids would just be like, "Oh, is that a new mode in Roblox?"
Yeah, probably. Although I'm going to be moving to 8th grade, so I don't know if Roblox is still a thing in 8th grade.
Is that a new mode in Fortnite?
There you go.
That's going to be so weird for you because you've progressed past like certain games, and now you're going to re-engage with those games again.
I don't know if I'm going to because they're 4 years older than what I'm used to dealing with. So I have no idea what the video game demographics in 8th grade are going to be like compared to 4th grade.
I don't know.
Yeah, but I wonder if like some of the lingo that used to be around is going to come back for you.
Well, it's like fire. That was back a few years ago, and I remember that being a thing when I was in middle school.
That's that's fired up again or flared up again.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
the embers are stoked for
Dominic
that one.
says that often. The new one is Phantom Tax.
Phantom tax?
FANUM. Phantom Tax.
What does that mean?
That's like when you steal food from a friend off their plate. Oh, that's Phantom Tax.
Oh, dude, that's a ripoff of Dad Tax.
Yeah, but there's a YouTuber by the name of Phantom that
Oh, okay.
started that whole thing, and it's like a whole thing with kids.
Dude,
anyway,
I love being old because when you hear all the celebrities and stuff, you're like, this is like a new language. I don't know any of what this means.
Mhm.
Phantom. Who is that?
Still do that
Tax.
to my kids though. Like, oh, you got fries? Dad Tax.
Yeah, I do remember that. But I guess that's a dad joke now.
Yeah.
They would be like, Dad, why'd you steal Phantom's joke?
right? Yeah. Moving on to Discord, Rusty says, movie or show-based games were always very hit or miss, and usually on the miss side. What movie or show would you like to see made into a video game? For me, a management sim based on the Loki show where you run the TVA would be amazing.
Dude, I'd be so in for that.
Didn't we do a whole retro Outsider episode on movie and TV based games?
Oh yeah, but we watched bad ones.
No, we played like Terminator and
Oh yeah, but we also watched the movies too, which were bad. Well, we did. I think it started as like the Hunt for the Red October.
Yeah, famously a
That
bad
game-
movie.
That's-
No, but
that's
the game
I
is
was kidding.
the game is bad. The movie is great.
Still haven't seen it. Sorry, Scott.
oh,
That
Man.
hurts.
that one does hurt a little bit. Oh, I actually just rewatched that a couple weeks ago. That movie's so good.
Mm.
I would really like to see if that one holds up or if that's just straight up nostalgia for me. Because we've had that conversation
still holds
before. What movie or show would you guys like to be seen made into a
Edge
video
of
game?
Tomorrow.
That's already a video game.
No, but I want that one.
It's like saying Ready Player One.
They did make that into a video game. What was that one that Deathloop? Deathloop is basically Edge of Tomorrow in a video game.
I think it's got a pretty
But-
different vibe, man.
Yeah, I want the beachfront storming with mech suits.
Yeah,
Okay.
by your logic, Scott, you could say 12 minutes. It's an Edge of Tomorrow style game.
Oh, you love that game.
Sure don't.
Can I get a Neon Genesis game finally, please? Thank you.
Have they never?
Okay.
No. Oh, okay, there's a Japanese exclusive N64 fighter.
I understand your pain because there's a Cowboy Bebop PS2 game only in Japan
Yeah.
and a Berserk
I need a
PS2
really
game
good.
only in Japan.
Oh,
There's-
that's another JRPG.
There's a Berserk Sega Dreamcast game.
I do, yeah.
You just reminded me. I
Guts.
know it's not Cowboy Bebop, but the cover reminded me of Cowboy Bebop. Wild Arms on PS1.
Oh, yeah.
Is a game I wish I had played when I was a kid.
Dude,
Back
I'm
to Sean's question. from earlier.
Right there with you. A Western
own it.
themed JRPG. That should have been right on my
It's a
radar.
good one.
I want to play them. Wild Arms 3 especially looks pretty cool.
I think I have 1, 2, and 3.
I'm sure you do.
Mm,
I think I own 3
Chef's kiss.
on PSN, maybe. Anyway, TV show. Just almost straight up stealing Rusty's idea of a management sim, but as the Dharma Initiative from Lost. And it's all just all the little different research stations, and you can check in on make sure people are hitting 4, 8, 15, 16, 23, 42. Or if not, you got to send them a little scare. That'd be cool.
Were they doing that at every research station though?
They were different things in all of them.
Yeah, so like that's the thing is like I would love to see like the other ones.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, but in this game, you maybe even get to help design some of the experiments you're running. You know, you could finally see what's up with the polar bears.
Yeah.
You can see how they were used in the research experiment. That'd be thrilling for
I'm
you.
gonna rewatch this show. Man.
It's funny you mentioned that because I already started.
Did you?
Yeah,
It's a very good television program. I'll tell you what.
How about a cooking sim based on Breaking Bad?
It's a different kind of cooking.
Yeah.
Or how about a cookie sim based on Hannibal?
There you go.
That'd be pretty good.
okay. I would actually like a Will Graham detective series.
We
like
could-
from
Yeah.
Red Dragon.
or Hannibal.
Well, Red Dragon, Silence of the Lambs. Like, the character's still there.
Maybe they could do both in one. You know, when you play as Will, you're investigating. When you play as Hannibal, you're therapizing and cooking. Be great.
Or like trying to undo what Will's discovering.
That'd be kind of fun. We could like the original, like the opening 2 hours of Indigo Prophecy, which is a reference 6 people will understand that I just made.
All
Alyssa's
6
one of
have
them.
played.
She loves that game.
That game's great. Yeah, I can't. That's a big question.
Serial killer simulator.
Yeah, I don't.
I mean,
I feel like when I was younger, when I was a kid, like every movie I watched, I'm like, how could this be a game? But now I just like, I don't let those streams cross too much.
There are some where I'm like, why wasn't this a game?
Yeah,
Like, I mean, I guess it was a game. There was a Super Nintendo Genesis game, but Judge Dredd. You remember when they remade
There's-
that movie with
There's been a couple games.
I just remember the one.
was there one on
the side
Xbox? Original Xbox? Yeah, I think so.
Oh, I didn't remember that one.
Yeah,
Didn't do well.
wasn't good as I recall. Yeah. Anyway,
There's some that like I'm just thinking of like my favorite shows, but I don't know how they make good games. Like Game of Thrones. Like there was a Game of Thrones Telltale, which makes sense, but it was all
well, there's also a
Which-
Game of Thrones RPG.
I'm sorry. The Game of
there?
Thrones Telltale was phenomenal, and I'm still pissed that they ended that on a cliffhanger.
yeah.
But yes, Scott, the PS3 had a Game of Thrones RPG where you can play as a member of the Wall.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Was it any good?
I think I never
The
actually
Night Watch.
the Night Watch. Thank you. And the Red Priests, those are the fire guys.
Red Priestess,
There was a Red Priestess.
Who were the guys that didn't like the? There's some people that believe
the
in like
Brotherhood.
do they believe in? No, those are the assassins, right? Aren't there people that like the guy who could set his sword on fire? He worshipped a.
The
Yeah, yeah.
Brotherhood.
Is that the Brotherhood?
Brotherhood,
Oh,
yeah.
okay, well,
Yes.
I think you could play. I think you played as a member of the Watch and a member of the Brotherhood, and I think that was a game. It was PS3, maybe in 360. I assume on 360. Why wouldn't you? But definitely on
It was-
PS3 because I definitely own it, and I've definitely never played it. So
Speaking
Yes,
of
the
Lost, did you
Brotherhood
guys play
follows the
that?
Lord of Light.
Yeah, Lord of Light. Did you guys play that Lost game on?
Via
Lord of Light.
Domus?
Via
Lord of
Domus?
Light is what I was thinking of. Thank you, CB. Sorry, I did play Lost via Domus. Yes.
Yeah, that was one of the early got all the 1,000 achievement games from when I was
Yeah.
younger.
I was upset because they said it was canon and helped hint at the end of the show. And if you remember the ending of that game, it does give you a hint as to what the show was, and then they disregarded everything. They lied to us completely.
Yeah.
So cool.
All right, who's up? CB, you're up.
Oh, well, Mr. Jacob Gunderson writes in. So during Extra Life, I started playing Super Mario 64 and for some reason felt compelled to finish it.
And when he said finished it, he posted a screenshot. He got all 120 stars, not just like beat it. He got every star.
Well, he continues to write on. I had forgotten a few things and I was so excited to get to redo others. No, it wasn't like playing it for the first time, but seeing it through an adult eyes versus a 7-year-old was a weird experience. A lot of things seemed so easy, the maps felt so small, hidden objects weren't well hidden. Is there a game you played as a kid that as an adult you had a completely different experience playing?
Oh man, I mean, he's not wrong about Mario 64. Remember how massive that game felt when we were kids?
Yeah.
Like it just like it was just so wide open. It was just because we had never seen anything like that before, and now you're like this. These levels are actually pretty small.
Well, that's where Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask for me. Like in my head, they were gargantuan. Right.
Mhm.
It took months to beat, and then I replayed them as an adult, and those maps are not big at all.
Yeah.
The hub areas are not that large, and they do not take months to beat. I can assure you of that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's definitely felt like a different experience. Not a bad one. Still love those games to death, but
As a kid, I absolutely loved the original Spy Hunter. I was obsessed with that game as a kid, especially playing in the arcade. That Peter Gunn theme going,
oh hell yeah.
and car coming out of a semi, and you get to knock these cars off the road, and you get to turn into a boat, and all. It was so cool. And now you play it, and it's like 3 minutes, and you're just done with that game. Like I got so excited about this game, and it's stupid hard as well. That doesn't help.
Well, I feel
and like it takes a lot of work to get to the boat. Like it takes a lot of effort to get there. And when you finally get there, it's like, please don't die, please don't die, please don't die, please don't die.
You want the boat. I feel similarly about my Spy Hunter of my youth.
The PS2 one?
The PS2 one, where I remember being so cool, but like after you do like one track or one level, you're kind of like, yeah, this is Spy Hunter.
Yeah.
But as a kid, you're like, oh, this is so cool. I want to get damaged on purpose so I could turn into the bike.
True. Fun fact: the first PS2 game I owned.
Is that right?
First one I bought.
Wow.
Yeah.
How did you like it?
I had the same experience you did,
Yeah.
and jumped right over to Metal Gear Solid 2, which was the second game I bought on PS2.
Did you play the Spy Hunter game starring Dwayne Johnson?
I did not play that one. I didn't.
Spy Hunter Nowhere to Run.
No.
Yeah, dude. That was an interesting little game.
Did they use the Peter Gunn theme in the later games? I know they used it a little bit in the PS2 one.
I want to say they all have it, yeah.
But it was like a techno version of it or something like that.
I think it's an essential part of the Spy Hunter identity.
Yeah, which is weird.
I think they did a 3DS Spy Hunter as well. 3DS Vita game, yeah. I never played that one. I know the car was red. That was upsetting.
What? Wasn't it orange? No, the semi was orange. The car was like black.
Well, it's silver in the PS2 one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm talking about the original.
Right.
I'm trying to think of
No, so maybe they always change the color. Maybe I had no right to be upset.
Like, I correlate Peter Gunn so much with Spy Hunter that when I heard it in Waterworld, I'm like, oh, is somebody playing Spy Hunter?
Kevin Costner, are you sneaking a little Spy Hunter over there?
Oh, man.
Yeah.
That actually, man, now that I'm thinking about it, I kind of wish we had a Waterworld game.
There was.
A legit,
it was on,
legit game.
It was on Virtual Boy. What are you talking about?
A legit game.
Echo the Dolphin. The big one for me is Beyond Good and Evil, which was one of my favorite games growing up, and replaying it as an adult. That it's still very charming, very endearing. Love the world and the gameplay and everything. But when I was a kid, I think I bought into Michelle Ansel's hype about the depth of the story and the title Beyond Good and Evil. But when you play as an adult or even an elder teen, you're like, this game goes beyond neither good nor evil. It's pretty clear that the aliens who are consuming people are probably the bad guys. So I'm going to guess that I'm the good guy. It's just there's no moral nuance whatsoever, and there's a plot twist involving your main character at the end that renders all of the stakes of the story completely null and void, and that's harder to accept when you're properly understanding what's going on.
I love that like your like remembrance of stuff is all story related, and mine is like what the games look like. Like I'm just so shallow that I'm like, yeah, this game doesn't look as pretty as I remember.
Yeah, it's when I was replaying Gun, I had this thought of like, my brain just auto adjusts to old graphics. I think I really don't have like any hiccups at all. Like I never think, oh, this aged weird.
I was thinking about this recently because I in the past like 3 or 4 years I played Super Mario World, but I played it on the SNES Classic that I had hooked up to my TV through HDMI. And that was the first time that I realized that how pixelated Mario looked. Looked very blocky. And I'm like, I don't remember this looking this blocky. And then recently I had that suspicion validated for someone. We got, you remember Nate, who used to produce our podcast, always talks about it's always better to play these games on original hardware, kind of like CB was talking about earlier with Metroid. And I'm realizing that there's actually a science behind that. This guy did this whole thing that shows when these games were put on a tube TV, they blended those pixels together in a way that made them look not as blocky. So when you're putting them on HDMI, they look too clean.
There's a simpler explanation.
Okay.
It's because you're looking at an analog signal versus a digital signal.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas the digital signal, that's where you're getting all those harsh edges and lines.
Yeah.
Because you're functioning inside this grid versus like an actual light or a light array.
It's just kind of fascinating to me. Like
It is, because everybody remembers, like, these edges weren't this hard.
Yeah.
Like, everything was much more smooth and blended. And when you transmit it to a digital signal, like, you watch it, it's just like, oh God, that looks terrifying.
Well, it just looks clean, like too clean. Like everything just looks like it makes me think of like when I was younger, looking back at an Atari 2600 game and going like, it's just squares. Like, and I'm looking at Mario going, that's just squares, just smaller squares.
But,
you know what I mean?
But I mean, it's also going from, like, when we had the curved TVs,
Yeah.
like the curve front, to the original, like, glass front flat screens.
Mm-hmm.
Like, even then it's like, okay, this looks a little different than what I remember it, to then, like, the actual, like, LCD or plasma screens. So we've ramped up the possibilities for graphical fidelity, but it's damaging how the older games were displayed or meant to be played.
I wonder if anybody is ever going to like start creating tube TVs again, or you know what I mean? Like, because they're getting so hard to find.
No, they're not hard to find.
Oh,
They're
really?
absolutely not hard to find.
Oh, okay.
Because the problem is a lot of landfills won't touch them because they're filled with mercury.
Oh, gotcha.
Well, presumably
I mean,
they will get harder to find with time. And yeah, I'm sure there's got to be an entrepreneurial money-making opportunity to make boutique
Well, yeah.
CRTs.
Somebody's making Guitar Hero controllers now and selling them for like $130 a piece.
Yeah.
And people are paying it.
But I mean, I just went on and I bought those 3 tube TVs from a lady for $10.
Yeah. You really
She's
want to
like,
play?
"Here,
You want to play one with Hello Kitty on the outside of your TV?
It's not Hello Kitty. It's Disney princesses, sir.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I got
sorry.
Disney princesses, SpongeBob, and a Winnie the Pooh TV.
Okay.
That's right.
You got something to say
And
about?
they're awesome.
You got something to say about men playing with Disney princesses, Scott? Something you want to
No,
say
I just know
publicly?
that
Or?
CB doesn't normally want to play with a TV of Disney princesses. Everybody else
Why?
can do
When
what
I
they
hold the
want.
volume button, Aurora dances across the screen.
That's actually very cool. That's
With the Winnie the Pooh one, when you hold the volume button, Tigger bounces across the screen.
that's legitimately cool stuff going on there. And Princess Peach sprite will look correct. So wins all around.
Yeah.
We got a couple left. Paul Hine over on Discord says, between Steam sale, Game Pass, and the general deluge of game releases, an absolute embarrassment of riches, what a time to be alive. Is there a game premise or sequel that just sits rent-free in the back of your mind that you say, I really wish they would just get around to making blank? What hasn't been made?
His name is Gabe Newell, and he doesn't know how to count to 3.
Blank 3. Yeah.
Yeah.
That works.
That's no. That's the answer. Like that's legitimately the answer, because you have, I don't know, 5 different franchises that you could just be like, just give me number 3.
I don't think I'm hungry for a Portal 3. Or
I am.
Oh, I am.
yeah.
Portal 3, Team Fortress 3, Half-Life 3,
I do need Half-Life 3.
Counter-Strike 3.
I definitely don't need Counter-Strike 3.
I absolutely do.
I don't need anything but Portal. What's the one we were always talking about? I feel like we've mentioned this in the show before. I wish they'd get around to making the collaboration of the 3 franchises that are all now Xbox.
Oh yeah, like an Xbox platforming All-Stars with it Crash, Spyro, and Banjo-Kazooie.
Yeah. Let's put them in a game together.
Get a little Voodoo Vince in there.
That'd be great.
Viva Pinata.
Maybe they could be your collectibles. You just smash Viva Pinatas to death. Yeah, I mean a proper Banjo 3 would be great. No doubt.
Yeah.
I feel like in the spirit of his question isn't like sequels though.
Yeah, I mean he does say sequels, but
Does he?
I feel like unanswered. He said game premise or sequel, but I feel like unanswered sequels are just so.
Oh, okay.
There's so many you could choose from. You know, like the Order sequel or something. But in terms of premises, I mean, what you said, Scott, is the best unanswered one, and is so possible.
And it
Give me
would
the proper version of Recore.
Yeah, that would be nice.
wanted to like that game so bad.
It'd be nice if all the machines on the box were in the game at launch. That'd be pretty sweet.
I know. That's why I said give me the proper version of the game.
Ridiculous. I mean, yeah. So many sequels I could list, but in terms of unanswered, ideas, or let's bring back some canceled games. I want to play The Unseen, a little Magic game they announced on the original Xbox. Let's get that bad boy back in action.
Mm-hmm.
Let's have Donald Muster. Let's have Donald Muster finish the Advent trilogy, Advent Rising.
StarCraft Ghost.
Yeah, that's a good famous one. So, but the real answer, Paul, is like, no, I got so much to play right now that none of these things could come to pass, and I would be A-okay.
If Portal 3 dropped right now, I don't care.
I'd pay $100 for Portal 3.
I would legitimately stop everything I'm doing and play that game.
Sure.
Especially if GLaDOS is
there. Are tons of games I want. I'm just saying that if none of them ever happen, I'd be okay for a while.
I got a couple. Like, it's not necessarily like a game idea, just a setting that I feel like is never used. 2 of them. Are there any games based on the Civil War?
Yeah, there's a lot.
Is there?
North and South. There's definitely not a lot, but there are some.
No, there's absolutely a lot. There's just a lot on PC.
There are not a lot. A lot implies a wealth of Civil War games. That's just not. There's nowhere near as many Civil War games as there are World War II or World War I games.
Okay, I'm talking like, first person or third person.
Run.
Yeah.
Right.
Fire.
Or there's not a lot of games set in biblical times.
There's a few of those too.
There are a few, and they're all terrible. We talk about Bible adventures.
Don't exactly translate well.
I think a big budget Civil War game would be awesome.
Yeah,
no, you're right. I would take
just make the Patriot the game.
I was gonna say surely this exists, but some kind of strategy game around the.
That was the American Revolution, you dumbass.
Fine, but it's same time frame.
Not
like later on.
About 75.
There wasn't TVs. It doesn't matter.
It's the same time frame.
Everybody died before the age of 50.
It wasn't even in the same century, right? So anyway,
died before the age of 50. It doesn't matter.
Surely this.
I'm tired. Leave me alone.
I'm sure that it exists, but a strategy game around the Revolutionary War would be very cool. I think that would be great. I'd be way into that.
Between PC and all the consoles, there's got to be at least 100 of each of those.
What?
Have you ever just gone on Steam and typed in like a certain type of game and just hit enter? Because there's a ton that come up for like anything. It's just not stuff that you want to play.
Well, that's not again with the spirit of the question.
Yeah.
You know what I think would be great? A Civil War, or excuse me, that's not even what I meant at all. CB's got me so worked up. A Gladiator game, but with no supernatural elements at all. Just like a straight up Gladiator action game.
It would just be like a fighting game, more or less, wouldn't it?
Maybe.
Or a horde. It could be like more than just. It wouldn't be one-on-one. You could have.
Well, they could have.
I was just thinking of like Rome Day One. That Rome,
like Rise on Rome, but that ruined it with some supernatural stuff. Didn't ruin it. It's just like I think there's a lot of potential in just like a straight up Gladiator, because you could do the different types of stuff they did in the arenas, right? Fighting animals or the kind of naval stuff they would do in there. Like there's different stuff you could do.
Oh God,
it'd be cool.
Like I'm having a brain trigger because there is one. It's old.
How old? I know that. So Capcom,
there's like a PS2 era Gladiator game.
Oh, there's Gladius, but you're fighting like minotaurs and stuff in that. And I think Shadow of Rome was a Capcom game that actually I think does manage to pull it off without any kind of supernatural shenanigans. But I think like 2/3 of that game is a stealth game, and then 1/3 of it is gladiator combat.
Gladius
has monsters.
Okay. There was Gladius, Colosseum, Road to Freedom.
I'm just saying I specified no supernatural elements. That was my first. Rule.
I understand it, but these are all in the PS2 era, and I can't remember. It was Colosseum, Road to Freedom.
I don't know what that is, but that might exist. However, that would also be 20 years ago. How about I'd like a fresh one, please.
Yeah.
The most recent one I can find is Gladiator Begins.
I'm sure
there's a fighting game by a Japanese studio
with the movie coming out
So many, yeah. Cap.
All right, we got one more question. CB, why don't you read that one off?
Oh, the Doc Samson?
Or just Doc Samson.
The Doc Samson.
The one, the only.
He's getting a the. Well, I mean, he is the one, the only. So, Doc Samson, I've really been enjoying the Nintendo World Championships game. While I like most of the challenges, it also reminds me that I'd never want to be a speedrunner. Have any of you ever tried to speedrun a game? Are there any games you enjoy watching people speedrun?
I'm actually in the same boat as him. I really don't have any desire to speedrun just because I don't have the patience, and there's just way too many games that I would rather play normally to enjoy and check off my list instead of focusing that much energy on it. I applaud people that do it. They have way more patience than I do. However, I've mentioned before, if I were ever going to speedrun a game, I feel like the one I could do or would be close would be Mega Man X. I used to play that game over and over, fight the final boss, and then just start the game up again and do it again. And I had it down, like memorized. It was awesome. What about you guys?
I'm not necessarily a huge fan of the speedrunning community.
Why is that?
It's just not my thing. Again, for the people that can do it and like it do it well, like it's definitely an accomplishment and it's a feat that somebody can do.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to that style of like hitting an achievement in a game, I prefer to watch people do like a clean run.
Oh, like no glitches and stuff like that?
No glitches, straight through, and without dying. Like, to me, that's where it's at.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree with that. I think the glitch stuff is just like, hey, look what the game can do.
Yeah, like, oh, look, I can push Mario through this wall and skip an entire level because there's a glitch in the code here. But like when you watch somebody like play the first thing that pops in my mind is like Captain Skyhawk. Not an easy game.
Mm-hmm.
But you watch somebody run that game clean, no deaths, like that's impressive.
Mm-hmm.
Or the people that can sit there and run through Dark Souls, no deaths, 1, 2, and 3. I'm like, yeah, man, like that's a thing. Like that's hard. That's real hard.
I talk about video games so much that my Facebook feed now has, clips of video games, and whenever there's a speed run of anything that I played before, I always sit and watch it. No, I sit and watch it.
Swipe.
Partially nostalgia, partially I want to see how they got through this without a problem where I struggled as a kid in this section. You know what I mean?
Lots of practice, right?
Mm-hmm.
As for me, I'm with you. The glitch speedruns do nothing for me whatsoever. I don't even see how it appeals to anyone personally. But that's just obviously my opinion. But glitchless speedruns, I've only watched one, which was some guys running through FF7 in about 7 hours, which is crazy.
You said it was like an interesting conversation.
Though, yeah, that's why it was so fascinating to watch, is because they were kind of explaining the process and they were kind of going into like some kind of development information as well. It was like a really interesting thing to watch, and also they were beating this game an insane amount of time. You get to like learn how grenades work and how the leveling works in the background. It was very, very interesting. If more speedruns are like that, if I knew how to find them, I guess I would be interested. But that's the only one I ever really watched. When I was young, I was like 20 minutes shy of what the Guinness World Records book said the speedrun of Prince of Persia: Sands of Time was.
How short?
Well, the speedrun I think was 3 hours and 20 minutes, and I could get it done in about 3 hours and 45, 50 minutes. So I was pretty close, and I definitely remember trying to shave it down more and more, but it started to make me dislike the game. So it was a pretty immediate lesson that like this is not something I want to do. So speedrunning does nothing for me.
See, that's why I said clean runs.
Yeah, those are definitely more. Yeah, those are where the interest is. If I could find a way to navigate awesome games done quick more readily to find streams like that FF7 one, I would, but I don't know how to do that.
where you can learn something more than just how to get through the game
Yeah.
quickly, or secrets or
I
whatever.
feel like because like a JRPG glitchless speedrun I think is kind of an interesting idea and premise. But you're gonna need to have the person playing is gonna need to be a good host as well, or else how could you sit there for those many hours? And
just so that you can get through that game in 7 hours without glitches is nuts to me.
I agree. Yeah, definitely.
Like that's just. I mean, are they running away from fight after fight after fight? Like
they would like know, because of the screen transitions, like they would have how many steps Cloud needs to take perfectly to avoid random encounters, like down to a science, or how long you could be on a screen before things would happen. Like they had it felt like they had the whole game memorized, which was insane and counted out and mathed out to such a degree that they knew exactly like, okay, we need to do only 3 combat encounters in the first hour because we don't want to level up or something like that. Like they would have it all mapped out because
does that game's enemies scale up with
no,
you?
I'm sorry. I'm mistaking. So I'm trying to remember the stuff they said, but years later.
Oh,
but there was something that had to do with how grenades worked. That like grenades were vital in that game.
I'm gonna have to go watch this now.
Yeah. No, for FF8, you're right. The key to that speedrun, because I remember watching part of one, is you don't want to level up. That's where I'm getting mixed up. But either way, grenades essential. So.
All right. Well, that's all the questions. Thank you to everybody who wrote in. That was a fun conversation. And we do have a topic for next week. This was Zach's idea. He wanted to come up with a list of thou shalt nots in video games. So we're going to call it our 10 commandments of video games. What are the things that you think should be on a list of every video game should not have this in there? Should we give them one example? Your prime example?
Well,
Zach,
the one that's guaranteed to be chiseled into the stone is thou shalt not have cursor menus on console.
Right. Let me click through the menus.
I think it's an easy one we could all agree on. I suppose they could certainly be like thou shall have. I don't think it has to be. We're not terrible commanding gods, right? We can give you good rules to follow as well.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So either
thou shalt always pet the dog.
No, don't get me started. I'm gonna break the tablet.
Yeah, so stay tuned to social media. We're looking for thou shalts and thou shalt nots. For our 10 commandments of video games, we're gonna kind of compare notes.
I think it's a fun idea, right?
It is a fun idea.
Yeah.
We're gonna narrow it down to 10.
Right.
We're gonna duke it out, argue it out, and say these need to be on there and these need to not be on there.
We gotta agree on the 10. That's the idea. We'll be here for 6 hours.
It'll be a long one probably, but that is gonna do it for this episode of the Gaming Outsider. Thanks so much for listening. This episode was produced by Kevin Honigford, and all the music you hear is written and performed by Grant Henry of Stemage and Metroid Metal. His website, again, is stemagemusic.com, STEMAGE music.com. Please be sure to email us if you have any questions or concerns. Our address is feedback@thegamingoutsider.com. Zach, any parting words or recommendations for our listeners?
Sure, a book recommendation. It's been a while. I haven't read a lot of books this year because I was playing all those Trails games, which were unto themselves books. But I've been reading I'll Be Gone in the Dark by Michelle McNamara, which is a true crime book about the Golden State Killer, absolutely horrifying human being. And it was written before he was apprehended, and it was also published after her death. But it's a very interesting book. It really goes into some gnarly stuff, not for the squeamish, certainly. But I've been fully captivated by it, and just getting into the psychology of this deranged Golden State Killer and her obsession with it is an interesting part of the book as well. Because she should be like living this life of luxury because she was married to Patton Oswalt, and you'd probably be living that Hollywood life, but instead she's just so fixated on this killer who hasn't even like committed a crime in like 20 years. But is just obsessed with it, and it's a great book, and it has unlike a lot of modern crime stuff, in my opinion, this has a lot of compassion for the victims, It really goes into like it'll really set the scene from the victim's point of view, like how their day was going, maybe, based on testimonials and stuff before it gets into the horrifying. So you really like feel the anguish of what these crimes do to people's lives, and I think that's really important. I think it's something that gets lost a lot in today's true crime obsessed era.
Fair enough. CB, how about you?
Well, I've been working on my movie project on the side, and I just started rewatching a series that I have been waiting 8 years to rewatch because I finally acquired it. But Darker Than Black, the anime. I finally have a physical copy, and I started rewatching it again, and it's still great.
I remember you recommending this to me years ago, and I did not watch it. I'm not gonna lie to you, but I remember this has come up before, is what I'm saying.
I know, but it's been 8 years since I've been able to watch it because you can't find it anywhere.
Yeah,
and I just happened to luck into a copy through a friend because I looked it up. Season 1 alone will run you about $200.
Hell of a friend you got there.
Yeah, good friend. So, I may or may not be making a copy for you, Zach.
Well, that may or may not be very interesting, CB.
So, I can. Well, I'm just saying I can't. I say one way or the other.
I think I understand. I think I figured it out.
I've got a music recommendation, but I'm going to say if you can, instead of listening to an album by this band, track down, if at all possible, see this band live, or if you can't make that happen, watch some YouTube videos of these guys. The band, I actually went to see Coheed and Cambria this past week again, and the band that opened for them was Too Many Zoos. I'm actually wearing the t-shirt I bought from them right here.
Oh, Zoos ends with a Z.
Yes. Too Many Zoos, and it is a band that is made of 3 members. It is a baritone saxophone player, a trumpet player, and one guy that does percussion. And he basically has a bass drum in front of him with all the other stuff that he hits for it. And it's just those 3 dudes. No vocals, just them playing. It seriously looks like you're watching street performers, like in a subway station or something. And you know what I mean? Like you just picture them.
I do.
Just like, playing for some money or whatever. And that's actually how they started. And they just blew up because they are that talented. It is just insane how talented these guys are. The sounds that come out of that baritone saxophone are absolutely insane. And the reason I say try to watch them live is because you wouldn't think that 3 dudes just each playing their instrument would be entertaining. But the dude on the baritone sax in particular, I don't know how he plays, much less gyrates around on the stage and dances and gets the crowd into it as much as this dude. It is so entertaining to watch. Now you can go listen to it, but and it sounds really cool, but it's something that needs to be seen, not just heard. So again, Too Many Zoos. I cannot recommend these guys enough. Everybody that I was with, we were just like, they were so glad that we got there early to see this band live because it was awesome. So, all right. Well, thanks again, Zach. It was awesome to see you at CB. Thanks for, making your way back. Good to see you again. And I saw you at Extra Life and saw you at Board Game Night and stuff like that. But it's good to hear you on the podcast, man.
Glad to be back.
Yeah, dude. And we're going to head out of here, but thanks so much for listening, everybody. And remember, there's no such thing as a bad game, just games that aren't for you.